Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, all our Muslim listeners, and a big warm welcome to our non-Muslim listeners and watchers. You may wonder what is going on. Well, let's start off with a little bit of an introduction. This is Let's Talk. We're brought to you by the same people who do the revival. And what we have in the online today, we've got Brother Naseem Ashraf, we've got Brother Sajid, and my name is Zaid Makbul. Now, you might be wondering, why am I dressed, or why am I hiding my identity? Have I suddenly become a Jedi? Well, all will be revealed. That's all I can say. All will be revealed. But at the moment, I have to hide my identity. But up until that point, Brother Sajid, what is the show all about today?
Today is the final show of this Ramadan, unfortunately, and today is an important topic. We are going to be talking about the lessons that we have learned from this Ramadan. Okay, and we are going to then go into detail in terms of Eid. It's a strange, unique, different kind of Eid. So, in terms of what is Eid, how do we celebrate Eid in a lockdown? And also, but the confusion about Eid Salah. What do we do? Do we read it? Do we not read it? How do we read it? And then going forward, life after Ramadan. What does that mean to us? Inshallah. So, inshallah, this is the Eid Not Weed show that we have every year, inshallah. And we will have two special guests in online quite soon. Soon we will have Shaykh Haroon Hanif from Liverpool, a friend of the Let's Talk show. Inshallah, he'll be on there shortly. And then later on, about 11:30, we should have Mufti Atiqur Rehman, Imam of Warner Jamia Masjid. He will, inshallah, will be joining us soon as well.
Fantastic. So, with regards to this particular show and tonight, there are a few things I want to tell you. Number one, it was the last Friday of Ramadan, and it was very, very strange because I logged on and the EIC had a khutbah which I listened to, or should I say watch. It was really quite interesting, but it does feel odd that you're not in a masjid. This is the first time in my lifetime that I can think of where I haven't been in the mosque on the last Friday of Ramadan. Does it matter, or is it just this is the way? You're better off on the internet. You don't need any imams anymore.
Well, from my experience, and Brother Naseem, I think that a lot of people, when you ask them, a lot of people will say, yes, we do miss the mosques. We do miss the Friday khutbah sermons. Well, I don't, because none of them are that good. But what do you call it? And we do miss the atmosphere when you go to the masjid, the tarawih and everything. But I think, there's a blessing in what we've got this year. Opportunity to spend more time with the family, pray together at home, spend more time with the children, work from home, and spend more time on yourself. Brother Naseem.
Yeah, indeed. It is different. It is definitely different. But I always look at it as a challenge, and you think, you should do things differently. Like you said, that we've got the opportunity to pray together, do Jamaat together, do Taraweeh together, or Qiyamul Layl. We've been able to read a lot of Quran together, alhamdulillah. We've done things together this year, which normally it was very hard to find the opportunity or even make the opportunity to do. So alhamdulillah, it's a blessing in disguise, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
There's lots of times this Ramadan, when it first started, that I was really feeling sorry for myself, because I thought, what's going on here? No going seeing your family, no going to the masjid, no Tarawih prayer, no iftari, no Jamaats, no mehfil, no learning, no scholars. But then things change for some people. Brother Naseem, do you think they wrote off Ramadan and didn't bother with it? Used it as yet another excuse not to take part in Ramadan?
I think those people, Brother Zahid, the ones that don't pray, don't fast, don't give zakat, and get the funny haircuts done at 4 o'clock in the morning, the night before Eid, they're not going to change. Maybe some of them will. Allah knows best. But for the ones who enjoy Ramadan, they will find other ways of doing that, inshallah ta'ala. Because Ramadan is the month of the Quran. It's not the month of the masjid and not the month of the imam. So as long as we remember that, and what is it revealed for? It was revealed, the month of Ramadan comes to us, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that we may become God conscious. So closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if that happens, alhamdulillah, that can happen in our houses. It doesn't have to be outside, does it?
We've got a message on the screen. Brother Zahid looks like he's getting ready for a boxing match with his hood on. Brother Zahid, people are intrigued. What's going on?
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, brothers. I can't reveal anything just yet. It's just not safe for me to do it. That's all I can say so far. I'm under strict instructions.
Brother Naseem, just check his medication. Just make sure he hasn't. Let me ask you two a quick question then. Whilst we're waiting for Shaykh Haroon, because we're talking about, first of all, in terms of the lessons that we can take from Ramadan, especially this Ramadan is a unique Ramadan, as you just mentioned. So, Brother Naseem, what would you say you've learned about yourself? What would you say you take away from this? And what have you enjoyed? What have you found challenging?
Well, alhamdulillah, my son said to me yesterday, when we read Taraweeh, and he said that he goes, Dad, mashallah, all of our Quran recitation has gone much better, much better. So that, alhamdulillah, is a brilliant take-home advice. The other thing was that they're reciting together, they're praying together, and alhamdulillah, more and more, even doing qunut together, doing the witr. Subhanallah, that has been amazing. Absolutely brilliant at home. The other thing is that one of the biggest things is that normally the month of Ramadan turns into the month of feasting, or as I always say, Ramadan turns into ram it down. Alhamdulillah, this year it hasn't. It's been very, very normal, very quiet, and we've eaten very little. Alhamdulillah, we've not been sort of having to prize ourselves off the dining table to read Salah. So alhamdulillah, that's been really good. And of course, the other advantage that we've had is the Let's Talk show has now become international and has become live, so online. And alhamdulillah, this is fantastic because you could do that from anywhere then, can't you?
Yeah. You've got another message there on the screen. Abdul Rahman Ali Arshad, the brother Zahid had a spiritual opening. His beard has gone grey. MashaAllah. I think the jihad is over. So,
Brother Zahid might be an etikaf.
Yes. Well, there's more than what meets the eye, brothers. That's all I can say to you. It's not as straightforward as what you think.
Okay, then let me ask you.
As far as this Ramadan is concerned, the points that brother Naseem's made are, pretty good. That. But there was a couple of things that I thought as well.
Yeah.
How much of the information or how much of the knowledge that we've spent reading is actually accurate? Because one thing I've found out through the whole course of this month while we've been on the shows, it's fine us taking our knowledge, but where do we know if we're getting it from the internet, or are we getting it from Instagram, or are we getting it sent through WhatsApp? How much of that is authentic? So I found that it's a dangerous thing studying on your own. I mean, reading the Quran, there's no, you can't, no one can actually corrupt that because that's God's own book and that's got its own miracle. But other stuff we received today, I received this big long dua, and it said it came from, it suddenly abruptly ended. It didn't make sense, and it said it was from the Noble Quran. When I looked it up, it had nothing to do with the Noble Quran. It was a mishmash of lots of different things. God knows where it came from. But I just wonder how many times people read it and they think to themselves, you know what? I spent the whole month doing ibadat. Is that ibadat correct? So do you think that you need an alim in this day and age? You need somebody to go back and verify what you're reading, because if you don't verify what you're reading, you're going to pass that on to the next person.
Yeah, you will do.
A lot of people, brothers, I had said to me that you don't respect the alim, you don't respect the imams, you don't like scholars, etc., etc. This is completely a misnomer. It's a misconception. People who don't know me might say that. I don't totally agree that you can't study the Quran. You can't study the Quran on your own. I think that's where it starts. When you want the deeper understanding and you want to do the tadabbur, there are many opinions of the translation of the Quran, or there are many verses in the Quran which need deeper understanding. And for that, you do need scholars. Scholars have a specific role in Islam. Their role is to make the knowledge accessible.
And I think we've discussed this quite a lot over the years. And I think every scholar that we've had has said that, it's okay asking these questions. But the important thing is, if you want to have a proper understanding of something, you have to study it. Reading a couple of articles and reading the translation is one thing. Studying it is different. And if you want to study it, you have to study it with a scholar who is a rightly guided scholar who's learned from his scholar to his scholar to his scholar. As long as the scholar is not sectarian, and as long as you choose your scholar carefully, then it's important. Just got a message from Shaykh Haroon. He said he will be joining us in the next minute or two. Okay. What I want to kind of say that in terms of my experience, I think it's been fantastic in the sense that doing the Jamaat of every namaz with my kids, okay, them doing the azan, me doing the Jamaat, them doing the Jamaat, them doing the Iqama, them doing the dua first time, in front of few people, and now the dua starting was a bit mishmash, and now it's better than mine. It's better than mine. The Tajweed, they were reading it because they never really done it before, and even the azan, they've only read it a couple of times. Now they read it every single day, about 3-4 times a day, 5 times a day. So that's really good. Beautiful. Sitting together as a family, eating together, praying together, reading the seerah. When it just before iftari, we got a book and we go through it and ask them questions. They ask me questions, and that's good. And also, it's about, surprisingly, we've cut down automatically on TV, on what we watch, on how we spend our time. And I think these are the lessons that I will be taking away in terms of, when we talk about the purpose of Ramadan is to achieve taqwa. Is taqwa do for Ramadan? What we watch, what we eat, how we talk, how we behave, what we get up to, what we do on Instagram, what we watch on Facebook, what movies we watch. Does the taqwa disappears after Ramadan? So, and I think these are the questions that I put to Shaykh Haroon as well. But I think these are things that I will take away. And also in terms of, we always say, in the month of Ramadan, I'm not gonna say anything bad, or I've got a roza. Yeah. Why don't we have that approach outside Ramadan?
Outside of Ramadan,
I'm not gonna swear. I'm not gonna swear because Islam doesn't allow me to swear. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna smoke that weed. I'm not gonna do this dodgy because not just because it's Ramadan, because that is what Islam demands of me. Yeah, and I think the other thing is, what I've seen is the community spirit. Even with the lockdown, people going out their way to donate when they see what's happening in the community. That spirit, you want that to continue. You want that to continue after. Yeah.
We really, really, really witnessed that this year, subhanAllah. There is a narrative, that, apparently Muslims are helping junkies and they are helping meth heads and all this kind of nonsense, right? And, that the people abroad, the Muslims are dying abroad and we don't help them, and we like to help the people who are here, who are meth heads, and Muslims are trying to go out of the way to help them. This narrative is really, really sickening and twisted narrative that people have.
It seems as if that no matter what Muslims do,
it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah. Either they don't do anything, or when they do it, there has to be some hidden agenda that they're doing it for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when we put out posts to help our neighbors, and we always say that it's sunnah to look after people abroad and fard to look after your neighbors. When we put out those messages, alhamdulillah, this year we've had the biggest amount of donations. SubhanAllah, people really going out to help people in the neighborhood. So Shaykh has just joined us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Shaykh.
Alaikum salam rahmatullah.
Assalamu Shaykh, how are you? Are you well?
Alhamdulillah. Who's the wizard over there? Looks like
we've
a wizard in our midst.
We've got no idea who it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, well, this is the reason, you see, because I've been bullied for that long. I'm having to cover myself. This is why
You
I'm
know
like this,
what,
brother
mate?
Sajid.
Stop being a little girl, man. You're just a little
You
girl.
know,
Some say
this
he has no
is
heart.
the reason why I'm looking like you know, a Jedi Knight. You know, because Shaykh Haroon has been roughing me up. He's been sending his goon squad outside the house and everything. You know, and I want some counselling, brother Sajid, right now. And this is how I'm gonna be.
Listen,
It's
sister, keep your head covered.
Is he still there? Is he still there?
Hey, no, you know what? I told myself today I'm going to be on good behavior today, so please don't mess about with me today. I'm on good behavior.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm talking to Sajid and Rafted.
I'm gonna come out.
Hey, cover your head, sister. Sister, cover your head. Get your hijab back on.
The minute anything goes on, brother, that's it. Brother Sajid, if you see me going like this, yeah, that's when you have to say to me, tell me about your childhood, and I can tell you about when I can go and start.
Well, I've got another theory, man, because I think it was something about Eid, not weed. I think he's smoking weed under that hood. Don't deny it.
Sheikh, can I ask you something? Is this
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Have you had your haircut? Have you had your haircut there, Sheikh?
Hold on. What are you accusing me of? Doing something illegal?
What?
Remember?
Hang on a minute.
Remember?
Somebody from Liverpool doing something illegal.
Remember, everything is halal. Remember, everything is halal unless Allah has stipulated it to be haram.
Allah. Well, there you go, bro. Listen, sister, cover your head, sister. That's haram.
Yeah. Have you broken into Sheikh Bilal Brown's house? Because there seems to be an awful lot of books behind here. Last night I asked him.
You know what? You know what was funny? When you asked him that yesterday, because mashallah, he's a serious guy. And he had this like look on his face. He didn't want to talk to you about it.
Totally blanked him.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Is there any books behind you, Sheikh Bilal?
MashaAllah. Okay. Yeah. But Zaid, if you want to, now that you've revealed yourself, if you want to.
I'm only revealing myself for a temporary being,
Zahida.
Okay, so today's show
I've just figured it out. The Sheikh has taken his hat off. When he takes his hat off, he's getting ready to be one of them Scouse ruffians.
No. I'm serious today. I'm going to put my topi on. I'm serious today, man. There you go. There you go. Is that better?
Right. So for the other 29 days, you weren't serious. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, no. Sister Zahida, I said today I'm going to behave myself. So I'm going to behave myself today. So behave yourself, sister.
Yeah. Someone's asking why am I doing parda? Well, again, met him on board here. I got some text messages coming through. The first one here, it says, brothers, you did an amazing job this Ramadan. Can you do something outside of Ramadan? Well, there is an intention. Let's see how far we get, and let's see what kind of support that we get as well.
And I think the important point there as well is for everyone watching today, please subscribe to the channel so that you can keep in touch with us after Ramadan. When we're on, you will be sent a notification, please.
Yeah, and just a couple of other things that are coming to light. Lots of people talking about Eid namaz and whether to read it or whether to ignore the government advice, and you can go to the park and you can do all of that.
What are you doing
so don't know why people are talking about going to a park,
yeah. And what we'll do, inshallah, with the show today is, from what there is, we will, inshallah, go into a bit of detail in terms of, we'll throw a lot of questions to Shaykh Haroon and also to Mufti Atiqur Rehman when he's on, in terms of Eid. And also, if we could start with what the lessons are that we can take away from Ramadan, there's still 1 or 2 days left, inshallah, and how to get the best out of that. And then we'll go into great detail in terms of what is Eid and how we should celebrate it. And we'll go into Eid Salah in a bit more detail as well. And also we'll talk about the social distancing and so forth. So Zaid, if you've got any more text messages, and then I'll start some of my questions.
Yes, please. Yeah, I've got 3 text messages. The first one is big salam to everybody from Let's Talk. Your shows were really good, and you should be on earlier in the day. Unfortunately, the reason why we are not on earlier in the day is because some of our shows are of an adult nature. they're not really for the Bundy and the Bubbly. They're not really for, you know, the Pee and the Poo-Poo. We're not interested in any of that. We don't play nards. We do shows. Some of the questions that we ask are the questions that come from an adult range. So unfortunately, that's why it is. Going forward, we might be able to do something where it's got restrictions on it and you'll be able to see it outside of that time. Let's see, we've got another text message here. Salam, Sheikh Zaid. Salam, Sheikh Zaid. Did Shaykh Haroon turn your beard grey? Shaykh Haroon's done quite a few things. You know, turning my beard grey could easily be something that he's capable of doing. You know, it was nice and black, but the stress levels that this Sheikh's put me through are unbelievable. Please, could you ask Shaykh Haroon to cover his head and the glow his beard? Otherwise, don't claim to be on the Hanafi train, and that's from Abdullah. So
who's Abdullah? There's 100 Abdullahs that I know.
yeah. Just a couple of pointers of tonight's show. So it is our last show in Ramadan, and we always call it Eid, not Weed. But the last question, and then we could go to you, Brother Sajid, is, and it's fired at me because you know how I don't like people hiring cars and all. They said, Brother Zaid, you've got your wish. We're going to be at home. Now think about what we can do. So we're at home. How do we celebrate Eid at home? So that'll be a challenging question.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to as well.
So if you want to take part, please send us a text 07801 951 501. Please can you tell Shaykh Haroon that we are loving seeing the nude bouncing off his freshly shaven head. Micro sister. Yeah.
Sister. There's a light bulb here, there's a mirror, and it's shining on my head.
Yeah, that's what, brothers, don't for a second get fooled by all this head shaving. I shave my head because I haven't got any hair. That's the reason for it. Other people, there's rumours the football season's going to start. Stanley knives, pickaxes, that's what the Sheikh's going to be doing. Walking around the corner of Liverpool FC.
Listen, bro, can we do a show when we won the league? Because two games we won.
Yeah. What happened?
And you decided
you know that game against Watford
to hijack our season. So when we've won, I want a show. I want to come on.
That's fine, Sheikh. But can I say something? Within Islam, are you allowed to take something what's not yours?
Something wrong with you.
Yeah. Can you claim? Is it called? I'm trying to think of the word. Yeah, a usurper.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think you're trying to do. You're asking
do you like my mug, Daddy? Do you like it?
Yeah.
The big daddy here, mate.
Yeah, I do like it. Yeah. I haven't got anybody saying Big Daddy on it. Yeah. When I grew up, Big Daddy was a wrestler. But
I remember it. I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember.
Shake. There's a lot of snacks being nibbled there. Is it? You know.
It's a fruit and nut. I've been fasting all day. Let me have a fruit and nut because I'm talking some fruity nuts.
And on that score, Brother Sajid, before the bullying starts, over to you.
Yes, so Sheikh, I mean, what I want to focus on for the, just for a short while is so that because a lot of the times, we do our best in the month of Ramadan. Soon as Ramadan's over.
Saj, mashallah, it's nice talking to you, but I'm not in the mood yet to be serious. So let me carry on talking to Zaid. And once I finish with the fruit and nut, then I'll come back to you. Zaid, how are you doing, mate? Forget this.
Right, mate. Can I just ask, this fruit and nut? Is it another halt? Is it actually fruit and nut? Let's see it.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'll show it to you, mate. Where is it? Hold on. Yeah, dairy milk, fruit and nut. There it is, mate. There it is. Dairy milk.
Dairy milk. The Sheikh's been eating American products.
Yes, mate. They're nice.
Would you describe yourself as fruity or the nutter out of the fruit and nut?
You're the nut, mate.
I am a nut, to be honest with you.
You are a
intelligence, yeah. Sheikh, this Ramadan, when normally you say in Atiqur, have you missed it?
Yeah, no.
Usually we get you on, and then the last 10 days, from as far as I can remember, even though you called the fine people of Oldham in one of our shows that's been recorded, and it's going to go to everybody in Oldham, they invite you very cordially in Oldham Greengate Mosque, don't they? For some reason.
They do.
Yeah. How have you found it? Is it because normally, you know, I would imagine, with the responsibilities that you have, is this the first time that you've actually been at home during Ramadan?
No, actually, no, because there's been a couple of years over the last 10 years where I haven't for personal reasons, but I think it's like 7 or 8 times.
Don't talk about the jail. Don't talk about the jail. You know, Liverpool player and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't
Lose
locked
the
up.
credibility with that one. Yeah.
Well, actually, I like that question. I mean, even though you're a bit of a nut, sometimes you have something sensible.
Sometimes.
So, I mean, obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, like, masjid is masjid, and there's something uniquely different about being in a masjid. But in terms of my own personal worship, my own personal time, it makes such a difference being at home.
In what way?
When we're in the masjid, because there's a large number of brothers there, so there's a lot of time spent teaching and discussing and chatting to them and advising them and so on. So there's a lot less time for me to do my own personal worship. But although at the same time, because of lockdown, daily, like 2, 3, actually sometimes 4 classes a day. So even then, the teaching's still taking place, but there's a lot more time for myself. So that's a big difference.
When you have time for yourself, is it sometimes nice just to do nothing, or do you do zikr, or what do you do in that time?
Sometimes just relaxing.
Yeah.
You need to even her out sometimes. I'm not. Yeah, sometimes.
Because I think that what people don't understand is that how when you're teaching something, and I teach 1 or 2 things, but they're not as important as what Islam is. You know, the brain does need to relax because you can't. You know, you couldn't do. You know, Usain Bolt couldn't do the marathon, could he? He could only do a little bit of his short burst of activity. So you're probably right. And how's it been with you at home? Have they got sick of you yet?
The little ones, mashallah. I just not playing with the little ones, mashallah.
Good.
But when I need to relax, I'll just put on like some, like for example, Istanbul, the night of Istanbul, and watch a bit of that.
All right, you mean the one in Manchester with the long kebabs and they put that green sauce on Istanbul?
No, the greatest moment for Steven Gerrard, Champions League winner. I'll just watch a bit of that, watch a bit of the great matches, which usually involves like Steven Gerrard,
does it involve him swimming? Yeah, is it like a banana thing that he does?
Anyway, I'm ready now. Saj, Bismillah, let's talk now. I've had my fruit and nuts. Let's talk. Well, what were you saying? Something about Eid. Something about smoking weed on Eid. Are you planning to smoke weed on Eid?
Yeah.
I'll take the text message, brother. Sajid, whilst we've got them, please ask Sheikh to stop eating on the screen whilst international viewers in other countries are fasting right now.
Okay, tell them to switch it off, then tell them to go away.
Salam all. This is a serious question. What is Salam all? Question for Shaykh Haroon. What is the ruling on smoking weed? I know the title of our show is Eid Not Weed, but someone's asked that direct question. Let Shaykh Harry stack up on his fruits and nuts. Sheikh's prison time for his terrible affliction to Liverpool. He shouldn't really get set down for that one. There should be a crime. I'm trying to think of it.
Oh, what? Eating fruit and nuts? Is that
supporting Liverpool? I don't know. Going equipped.
Hey, by the way, where's Naz gone? Where's Naz gone? Is he fed up?
He's in the background. He's probably finding some fruit and nut as well. The minute you mentioned fruit and nut, the knockout will have gone and got something sweet because he's got every day this week. He teases with something sweet. Look what I'm resorting to. A poultry wagon wheel. That's some of my efforts.
Finishing off the fruit and nuts.
I was doing the text messages, so I thought I'd put a few messages on the screen and whatnot and keep myself discreet. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, Zahid, you got any more text messages? Then I can finally start.
I've got 2 serious ones. The first one here, it's anonymous. It says that with regards to the Eid day, whether it's Sunday, whether it's Saturday, and give me 1 second. Yeah. Well, I think what the person's trying to say is, you know how we get the dates? Some people start on this date, some people start on that date. Mm-hmm. What this brother's saying is, yes, or it could be a sister, they're on here. What they're saying is they're worried that they could have started on the wrong date, finished on the wrong date, and as a result of that, so how do they know which would have been an odd day or an even day, or does it go
Tell
from?
them not to worry, man. Tell them not to worry because there's nothing clear and concrete about this. And as anybody's learned, in a small amount will understand that there's always scope for different practices in this religion. So if somebody is doing that and it started on a Friday, Saudi Arabia and Morocco started on a Saturday, one based upon localized sighting, the other one based upon the early sighting, even though it may not have been, leave that to the experts. So there's a valid ground for differences on these matters. What's right and wrong in this? Most things of these nature you'll never know until the day of judgment. So as far as you're concerned as an individual, you started an earlier date, you respect other people who did it on a later day.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be on the same day. It looks like it's going to be on Sunday. So that will remove some of that confusion. But which is the odd nights? Everybody has their own day. Like for those who started earlier, the day earlier, then their odd nights are a day earlier. And for the others, it's ultimately, we shouldn't overly concerned about these things.
Okay, thank you. See that straightforward question. There's no reason for there to be any kind of anger in there. Another one here. Are wagon wheels haram because they contain beef gelatin? A bit late for that. I'll have to read Gullo 3 times, I think.
How's that going to help you, mate? Anyway, go and carry on. I'm behaving myself today. Go and carry on. I'm behaving myself.
Yeah.
What was that about beef gelatin?
About what?
Did he say something about beef gelatin?
It said that wagon wheels contain beef gelatin, but I've looked at this one. This doesn't have any beef gelatin in it. I think the one with the jam in it, man.
Someone's picked up on what you're eating. I like that much. Well done.
It's probably one of your snipers. The minute that brother does something, let me know. Yeah, we're sick and tired of them Man United people. We get everything, 13 leagues, and we get.
How you doing, Freddy?
We're 25 points ahead.
Look, you've driven another way now. Sad, how you doing, mate? You okay?
He's going checking into no. Yeah, we don't know, do we? Got a text message, Sheikh. The bar was made to share. Yeah. Sheikh.
I shared it with myself. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you never walk alone with the Scousers. Always remember that.
Okay. Any more text side?
No, that's it.
Okay, brilliant.
Through, I shall wave the phone.
Cool, thank you. Okay, Sheikh, I can throw some questions at you now, finally. Okay.
Yeah, let's start off.
I was going to start with something else, but I'm going to change it now because I think just change the plan. So let's go straight into the Eid questions. I was going to ask you about Ramadan.
No, can I take you back on a serious note? Yeah,
right.
Because I think you're going to talk about Ramadan and how it's been important. So
yeah, that's what I was going to start with.
Say something, but I'd also want to ask the two of you as well. How have you found Ramadan this year?
Alhamdulillah, it's been different, it's been challenging, but I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it a lot better than the previous years for some strange reason. And I was mentioning just before you came on, it's given more opportunity to read the Salah together as a family, for me to do Jamaat, for the kids to do Jamaat, for us to sit together, do more things as a family together, read the Seerah together. And also it's about, communication, and it's more time for myself. Time for self-reflection, but I think it's also opportunity to kind of get the best out of Ramadan as a family. But normally you're working, or you're going to Tarawih at mosque, or you do this time it's made it different. What is that?
Sheikh, every year when Ramadan starts, I'm fortunate that my employer gives me a lot of time off. So the last 3 Ramadans I've usually been off work I usually go in for about a week, and then the rest of the time I'm off work. But what I found is, even though I was off work, I had too many excuses not to perform my Salah. That was the biggest excuse. Tired, work, or read this together, then you don't do. That's one thing. The second thing is, I was very negative at the start of Ramadan. I love Ramadan. I look forward to it more than anything else in the whole year. But because of selfish reasons, I won't be able to go out, I won't be able to see friends, I won't be able to do iftars, I won't be able to help out in the masjid, I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do that. I thought it'd be quite negative. Until a friend of mine rang me and gave me a good telling off and said, listen, all of that's nonsense. But the one thing I will say is from before Ramadan and through Ramadan, what I have found is how many tiny mistakes I was making, even in my salah, because you read it that quick, and if you are somebody who makes one mistake, your mind gets accustomed to reading that mistake over and over again. And it was only when I was doing Jamaat in my house, and my wife picked it up, and she said, "You're pronouncing that completely wrong."
Okay.
So I haven't missed a single salah at home, and I would say that with the exception of maybe one, we've read every single salah at Jamaat, like what Brother Sajid did. We do azan in our house, although my son, who's got an even louder voice than me, I don't think our next door neighbours appreciate it when he's doing the Fajr namaz at the top of his voice and he's facing the wall. So I think for me, it took away the excuses of not being able to perform and not being able to do something. But what it did, it gave us an awful lot of time, and it helped me appreciate all the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, the house, the food, the fact that we've got all of these things. So for me, I think it will be in my memory as arguably one of the most defining times of our the fact that we were all at home at this time. Very, very important.
And in terms of yourself, Shaykh, what would you say? What's been different for you? I mean, you've kind of mentioned you've got time at home, time with the family, and especially as a scholar, you probably spend a lot of time kind of teaching and giving lectures. How have you found it different? Is there more time for you to kind of your own self reflection and your own studies?
Yeah and no. I mean, as you said, because so many more people are at home now, so most teachers now, like you go online now on Zoom and online, there's so much teaching. It's phenomenal, and it's so brilliant, so beautiful that those who actually want to connect to learning, especially learning Quran, so many opportunities available.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been so busy with that myself. But also, just one thing I'd like to share. Today, it was around 5-6 o'clock. We have in Liverpool in Felicity House what we call the Rawda Madrasa of kids from the age of 7 upwards. And it's been going for 3 years. And today, mashallah, we had a Khatam al-Quran for the young kids from there. And in a school of about 50, about 24 of them finished the whole Quran inside of Ramadan.
Wow,
and one of them phenomenal. One of them, he finished the Quran 4 times inside of Ramadan.
Wow.
About 5 of them finished it twice in Ramadan. So mashallah, was one of the most beautiful things that I've experienced in Ramadan. Mashallah.
Okay, brilliant. And what I wanted to ask you was, and we were, but let me ask a question before we go to the text message.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is that one of the things that we always said in this Ramadan, the purpose is to achieve taqwa, and we do our best. We kind of make sure we cut out certain things so we can become that extra pious. What are the lessons that we can take away from Ramadan that we can continue after Ramadan that will help us to achieve this taqwa, which we seem to forget about?
Are you asking me or Zahid?
No, this is for yourself, Shaykh.
Okay.
I won't ask that kind of question to Zahid, no.
You can't ask, obviously, you can't ask me a straight question, can you? Not after 29 days of bullying, no.
It's inevitable that after Ramadan, standards will drop.
Okay.
Because Ramadan it's a unique experience. So, and in fact, what that sister just put there, that you're absolutely right. There's so much barakah in the homes right now. And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, even though we're still going to be at home, but something will change once Ramadan goes. So even like you got that kid who's read 4 khatams of Quran, he's only, I think he's 11 or 12, and he's finished Quran 4 times. That maintain such a high standard it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult.
Yeah. And I think after Ramadan, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, all we advise is just hold on to 1 or 2 key things. Like 1 or 2 key things that you felt, because there is definitely a change. Everybody's experienced some change, and not because it's Ramadan, so there's bound to be a change. Like the simple fact that after your Isha namaz, after Isha prayer, that you can stay up and pray. Even those who are still praying the 20 rakat tarawih, and if you happen to have a Hafiz of Quran at home, or you're reading from a Quran itself, you can go an hour and read the Quran in prayer. Nobody does that out of Ramadan. It's only a few people who do such a thing. So there's no doubt something is different in Ramadan. But just The only thing is just find one or two key things that you took out of Ramadan and then just carry on with that out of Ramadan. That's the key thing.
Yeah, and I think sometimes what we forget is that after Ramadan, our priorities automatically change. In Ramadan, we say we're going to read the Quran, we're going to finish the Quran, we're going to read namaz, we're going to do X. After Ramadan, for some reason, we go back to the old lifestyle. So what can we do then? Like you said, just take one or two things. What should our priorities be after Ramadan?
See the comment that was put there that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about the most beloved thing is to do something consistent, even if it's small. So just finding something to be consistent with. So the simplest examples, and this comes from the Sunnah, you fasted 30 days, now do another 6 days in Shawwal. Just carry on that bit more. You do making dua and you do every night. Don't forget the night of Eid. The night of Eid is a special night in terms of acceptance of dua. So just find one or two things, like make a commitment to read a bit of Quran every single day, even if you're not going to read that large amount. If because you're fasting, you've been intentionally avoiding speaking haram, like you're making a point, I don't backbite because I'm fasting, I don't lie because I don't swear because I'm fasting. So, and you've consciously done that. So now that you've moved out, don't slip back. Just make a point. Just pick up and let that carry on outside of Ramadan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a couple of text messages. I thought the first one here, it says, Assalamu alaikum, my name is Brenda. A Muslim convert. One question for the Sheikh. What advice do you have for a new Muslim after the first Ramadan? Also, could you please make dua for my close friend Cindy and Debbie to become Muslims? We enjoy watching the Sheikh's video on YouTube. Mashallah, thanks.
Mashallah.
So that's a pretty good question, which is followed by, not so. Can you ask Shaykh Haroon if he will sponsor me £1,000 for burning 1,000 Man United shirts?
Allahu Akbar.
On that one, I'll give you £1,000 because it looks like that fruit and nut has got to this sister Uzma's head as well, because each
Sister
United
Uzma's
top costs about 50.
She's
it
a
costs
star.
about £50.
No, tell her I'm not going to sponsor, but I'll go and buy all of those shirts for her. I'll go buy them, and before that, I'll burn them as well.
Sheikh, just on that, just before we move any further, can you confirm you're wearing a Man United top?
Are you mad? I thought
Somebody's saying that you're wearing this Man United top
for Olive Mount, I believe, for charity. You mentioned on Facebook.
Are you crazy? Is there something wrong with you two?
No,
I read it on Facebook. Yeah.
I know. As
You need to
I'm
go
not
back
on Facebook.
They were your words.
Sheikh, so you're wearing a Man United top, are you?
Are you mad? There's something wrong with you, mate.
For charity, you're not. So you're not wearing a Man United top for charity?
Astaghfirullah al-Azim. The devil's not being released yet, and you're still talking this type of nonsense.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's right. Are you wearing a Man United top?
What does this look like?
Sorry?
What, this is mashallah. It's a nice shirt. I'm never going to wear filth like that, mate.
Right. Okay. So.
Okay. Zal, you got another text or?
Yeah. Oh, the other text that we got was the Sheikh just mentioned something about the Eid night. Is it a particular prayer or is it general ibadah? I read a few du'as after Isha namaz.
Yeah, it's especially there's no special prayer for it. From the Sunnah, there's no special prayer. What we're told from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "An ahya laylatay al-eidain, ahya Allahu qalbahu yawma tabitu al-qulub." Hold on, one second. We're talking serious, son. Abdurrahman, I'm going to shoot it. But the Prophet.
There you go, you see, you can't get it. When they come from Liverpool, you say, "Well, they come slams. I'm going to shoot that boy. I'm going to shoot him. Yeah, I'm going to shoot that lad. Where that lad's going? I'm going to shoot him." They do though, don't they though?
Zaid, go and have your tablets, mate. You need to go and have some tablets. So the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever whoever brings life to the 2 nights of Eid, i.e. by worshipping, Allah will bring life to his heart when hearts die. So there's something special about the 2 nights of Eid. But there's no specific act of worship. You just to make a point to pray some rak'ahs, even just 2 nafil. Even just 2 nafil. But the special act of worship is dua. Because the like Imam Shaykh, he said there are 5 nights in which dua are accepted, and one of them he mentions the 2 Eids. Like dua as guaranteed acceptance on the night. So just pray 2 nafil.
Subhanallah.
Some special dua.
I'll promise straight to Saj after the last 2 text messages that we've got. One of them is saying, donate to Iqra cartoons. I've been watching this Iqra cartoons and they have prophet stories on it. Very good. Really good for children. What do you think, brother Shaykh Haroon?
Yeah, no, I've seen it because my kids, they watch that. They watch some of it and it's really good, mashallah. It's impressive.
Yeah, really impressive. And let's just clear this. Iqra cartoon, tell them to donate. Yeah, okay, we've said that one, Jibril. Thanks very much for that. Brother Sadiq, if you can carry on.
Yeah, please. Okay, so I've got text messages. Okay, that's fine on the screen. So, Sheikh, in terms of Eid itself, let's just ask you 3 direct questions. That's all right. So, in case some people are just tuning in now, it's going to be Eid.
What's this Gantz Stevie G NWA? You'll never walk anywhere. You'll never win anything.
Sajid, carry on talking, please. This guy, he's rude. He's rude.
All right. Can't remember a show where everyone...
Sajid, when I was 6, it started then. Now it started again.
Right, okay. You know these questions, I'm just going to get rid of them, yeah.
What are you starting again?
Right, okay then. So in terms of Eid, so first question, which,
you know
which
what
I was...
Come on. Sorry, Sad. You know when other teachers come on, other scholars come on, I'm sure you get proper discussions, right? I'm sure you do, right?
No, we do have proper discussion here as well, but I think today we've kind of struggled. But no, we've got some fantastic points from yourself.
Hang on a minute. What do you mean we don't have proper? Are you trying to say for some reason, Shaykh Haroon, that we don't take you seriously? Is that what you're trying to say? Are you trying to say that?
My God, honestly, right? Oh my God. So Saj, you have a list of questions there and points of discussion. We hardly ever get through anything, do we? And I can see one culprit. There's one reason for this. There's only one reason.
I've got 5 pages of questions here. I'm actually on my second question. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Zaid, shall we try to get through the questions?
I won't have it that we're not being serious on this show.
You're not being serious. Simple. It's time up now as well, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
50 minutes now.
47 minutes. I've asked one question. Come on. Yeah. All right, let's get straight to the questions. That's all right. Okay, because we've got Mufti Atiqur who will be joining us shortly. Okay, so then we get more fatwas. So let's get on to it.
You know, when the Sheikh comes in, I'm going because I need to go and pray Taraweeh.
Okay. Well, if you can stay with us for at least a bit more, so I can ask you. Let's get through some serious questions first of all. So, Sheikh, what is Eid al-Fitr? So, just so we know, we can understand. And what's the difference between Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha?
Eid al-Fitr is a celebration that the believers are required to have because they've completed a month of worship that was Ramadan. That's Eid al-Fitr. It's a day of joy and celebration because of the worship that's taking place. Eid al-Adha, it's not so much about Hajj, although it's interconnected. It's more the fact that before Eid al-Adha, you have 9 days of worship. The first 10 days of the Hijjah are amongst the most blessed days of the year. So when you look at both Eids, the celebrations at the end of periods of worship.
Okay, Jazakallah. And this question we've kind of touched on. Why is it every year that Muslims they start the month of Ramadan on a different day and we have to eat, and people get really kind of stressed about this? What's your understanding? Is there a scholarly understanding in terms of, and is it okay to have to eat?
What the Prophet ﷺ told, "Sumu li ru'yatihi wa aftiru li ru'yatihi." He said, fast when the moon has been sighted and finish fasting when the moon has been sighted. So the issue revolves over the moon sighting. Right? The statement of the Prophet is clear. So you have one view, which is the view of most scholars, anywhere in the Muslim world or anywhere in the world that it's sighted and it's been confirmed by Muslim authorities, then everybody everywhere is required to fast. The second view states every regional area is required to fast based upon their own sighting. But because of that, straight away you have different possibility of 2 different days. The problem that we have here, like in most Muslim countries, people don't get into this discussion. They just wait for the official announcement. Once it's announced, and it's the end of it. It's because we have no Muslim authority here. That's the reason why the split takes place.
But you know, this idea of following Saudi Arabia, is that something from Islam? Because that's where the difference comes in. Some people follow Saudi, some follow Morocco, South Africa. What's that about?
No, like specifying a particular area and say we only follow them, that's wrong. The view of, for example, the Hanafis is that the first sighting that's announced, wherever it may be, Saudi or anywhere else, then we follow that. Those who follow Morocco on the basis it's the nearest Muslim country. It's not Morocco itself, it's just the fact that it's the closest Muslim country, and so that's the region that we follow. But ultimately, the reason why we have the split here is because we have no authority, and so in a sense, people are free to use whatever.
Can't we just have the local sightings? So if you can't see the moon in the UK, then just have the 30 days. Isn't that a simple solution? Is that something that scholars don't believe in?
No. It is that's an accepted view, but people are split on it. Scholars.
You know this, Sheikh. Why can't they just leave it to Saudi? I understand what the reason why I said that. If you went to Hajj, you wouldn't be able to change the date for Hajj. You wouldn't be able to change Eid day there. You would have to go exactly what that government says. So if we say that that's a focal point, can we not just say, look, for the sake of unity, let's just go to what they say?
That's not, no, because we have the hadith, and then from there you have the opinions of the four main imams of law. Nobody's come with that as saying we need to have unity. It's never been viewed as we must have unity. It's based on the understanding of the hadith. Like, it's perfectly acceptable that one country does Eid on one day, another doesn't Eid on another. There's absolutely no issue with that. The problem here we have is that in a household you may have splits. Yeah. On a street you've got 2 masjids and you're going to have splits. That's where the problem comes, and that's why people feel it a lot more here. We just say to unite, so let's follow Saudi Arabia. That's not the law.
You know, at the time of the Prophet, was there this idea that Eid were on 2 different days?
Not in his lifetime, but after his lifetime, amongst the companions, it did happen. So it is something that did happen in the tradition.
Okay, let me just move on to
just to conclude on the point. I think the key point for people to understand: it's perfectly acceptable to have 2 different days. That should not be seen as a sign of disunity. The problem is when it comes so close to home, like within a home, one thing we'll do that, and the other one, like across the Muslim world, pretty much in all countries. In each country, they're doing something based, and everybody is doing the same thing. So we face it because we have no authority.
And do you think the scholars, to an extent, are to blame here because they should be kind of, promoting this unity, but what they're doing is they're sticking to the guns, and they're okay for families to be divided? Do you think they need to take some ownership and responsibility here, or do you feel it's
perhaps maybe?
Do you think, Sheikh, there's actually a desire or a will, or is it I always feel it's like a power struggle. People say we want to flex our muscle, we'll do it in Ramadan, we'll decide what we want, and sometimes that ruling on when Ramadan starts or when Eid is, it doesn't even come from the UK. It comes from, Birsar back in Pakistan. All of that can't be right, can it?
Me personally, I don't like to get into a blame game with this type of stuff.
No, that's fine. Let me ask you more of a serious question then. In terms of Eid Salah, the amount of text messages and group discussion we've had on this is doing my head in. So let me ask you a direct question then. And in terms of, do we need to read Eid Salah at home because of the lockdown? And why is there such a difference of opinion? Why is there so much confusion?
The reason why there's difference and even a confusion is because we've never had a situation like this before.
Okay,
simple as that.
That's fair enough.
We've never had a situation where people can't go out. So in such a scenario where you don't have an explicit text from the Quran or the Sunnah saying if you're locked in your home, this is what you should do for your Eid or Jum'ah, then that's the role of ijtihad. That's where the scholars now have to come and interpret. And so that's where you are gonna get differences. So the view of Abu Hanifa, of his way, is that if you're not able to pray in Eid, or you missed your Eid prayer, you cannot pray it by yourself at home. You cannot pray by yourself.
Just on that point, Sheikh, just on that point, we've got Hanafi scholars who I know, and we will have one on shortly as well, who put this argument forward that as a Hanafi, there is an opinion that you can read Eid Salah at home according to the Hanafi opinion. That's where the confusion is arising. So what's your understanding as a Hanafi scholar as well?
That it's not valid at home. That it's not valid. That
Okay.
Eid requires open space. In the time of the Prophet, it didn't take place in the masjid. He did it in open space. Okay. But it's fine to do in the masjid because it's open for the public to come in.
So where is this view coming from? And if it's from a Hanafi view, and you're saying that the Hanafi view saying it's not permissible, then where is this view coming from?
Let's ask the other Sheikh when he comes on.
No, I mean, are you aware of that? There's more than one opinion when it comes to the Hanafi school.
Yeah, I'm aware of this opinion. I'm aware of this opinion. But so what I hold to on this is that it's not valid in a closed space.
Okay, Jazakallah. And if for those people who want to...
Sorry then to carry on. The view of the majority, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmed, is that it's fine to do Eid by yourself at home. There's no restrictions. So
it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
No.
If people are doing it, it's fine. It's fine. There's no harm.
So if I follow the Hanafi opinion and I don't do Eid namaz at home, what do I do then? Do I read something else?
Salat al-duha. So
can you just explain what that is? Sorry.
Yeah, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is one of the leading companions. He said, whoever misses the Eid prayer prays 4 rak'ah Salat al-duha. Salat al-duha is a morning prayer, which is sunnah to do normally. But there's a greater reward and blessings in doing it on the morning of Eid if you're unable to pray your Eid prayer. And it's prayed as a 4 nafil with the intention of morning prayer. So for those who are not going to pray Eid prayer, then it's as blessed that they pray Salat al-Duha.
So you read 2 nafil and then you read 2 nafil again, as you would normally read it?
Or it's better to do as 1 lot of 4.
As one, okay. Yeah. And your intention is that you're going to be reading the dua.
Morning prayer, Salat al-Duha.
Salat al-Duha. Okay, Jazakallah. Okay. For those people who are going to be reading the Eid Salah, what advice would you give to, because you've got to read a khutbah, I believe. So how does someone who's not a scholar like myself?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to have a khutbah. It's a sunnah to have a khutbah.
Okay. So can you just explain how someone would read Eid Salah at home then, for those who might be asking that question?
Okay, so this answer I'll give based on the Shafi'i, because I don't consider it acceptable as a Hanafi to pray Eid prayer at home. So with the madhab of Imam Shafi'i, so you make niyyah of Eid prayer and you start with 7 takbeers. 7 takbeers. So you do Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So you open takbeer and then you do 7 takbeers and then you start Subhanakallah alhamdulillah. And then you go into the second rak'ah, stand up, and then you do 5 takbeers. 7 takbeer in the first and 5 takbeer in the second. That's the view of Imam Shafi'i. 7 takbeers and 5 takbeers.
Okay. And in terms of the khutbah, that's optional, you said?
It's optional. It doesn't need to be done.
Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you. Now, in terms of Eid itself, so let's from the time we wake up and for the rest of the day, what are the main sunnahs that we should be trying? Because obviously we're in a lockdown, so people will be doing so many different things usually, but now we've got a great opportunity to act upon the sunnahs. What are the main sunnahs that we should be doing on Eid day?
First thing, make sure you pray your Fajr prayer.
Okay, yeah.
That's the first thing. Because with all due respect, with all the celebration of Eid, you're supposed to straight away if you not pray your Fajr prayer, and especially when it's the first day after Ramadan. So make sure that you pray your Fajr prayer, and then
we've just got a question on the screen. Just before we go further, can you pray the Duha prayer in congregation?
For the Hanafis, any Sunnah or Nafil other than Taraweeh should not be prayed in Jama'ah, because the Prophet never prayed Sunnahs in Jama'ah. It's makruh, it's discouraged to do that unless it's a small number. If it's Imam and maximum of 3 people behind, and if you're going to pray with a small number of 3 behind you, maximum, it's a daytime nafil, so you'd have to read it quietly. You couldn't read it aloud. So the normal practice of the Prophet with Sunnahs and nafil is that he prayed them by himself.
Okay, Jazakallah, thank you. Yeah. So sorry, you were just about to start on the sunnahs, yeah.
So
Fajr, you said, yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to add a point that which may come later on in terms of the time of praying. In terms of the time, so you have prohibited time that comes after Fajr. The Duha prayer, and for those according to other madhabs who are going to pray the Eid prayer, you've got all the way up until just before Dhuhr to pray. So even if you wake up slightly later, like 8, 9, 10, 11, even 11, 12 o'clock, you can still pray them. You can pray Eid prayer according to the view of the three, and according to the Hanafis, you can pray your Duha all the way up until shortly before Dhuhr starts. So the sorry?
But some messages were saying that you can only pray this prayer when just before dawnbreak or just after dawnbreak.
No, you've got all morning to do it.
So you've got really
the whole morning to do.
Yeah.
I think those people who are saying that are talking about the best time to do. But in terms of when you're allowed to do, you've got the whole morning to do. Even if you wake up really late, you're still fine to do. As long as you get up before the dawn, you're fine to do it. When you wake up in the morning, treat it like it's an Eid day. So have your ghusl. Put on your best clothes because you'll be together as a family enjoying the day. And then do what Allah orders. Like in terms of Eid, there's only really one thing that's spoken of in the Quran about Eid. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us to do the takbeers of Eid, وَلِتُكَبِّرُ, that you do takbir. So in the morning, as often as possible, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd. Just keep on repeating that as often as possible. And then pray your prayer. There's quite a few who are live streaming like the khutbah of Eid. Quite a few masjids are doing that. So just sit there and listen to a message, an Eid message for the day. And then after that, then enjoy the day. It's ultimately Eid is about enjoyment and celebration because you're celebrating the great month that you've just. So the rest of the day, you can't really go out and about and see friends and family and do like the Eid crawl where you go to one meal and the next meal and so on. You can't really do that. But at least in your home, you got your kids there, get the gifts out, make it an occasion for them. Just make it a celebration for them.
Earlier, a few shows ago, Shaykh Haroon, somebody said about this takbir, and they said it's meant to be read 34 times. Is that a number that somebody just plucked out, or is there some significance to that?
I've not heard that.
No, I haven't either.
And you know, Shaykh,
you could read it 31 times if you wanted to, Shaykh.
Okay. Sarge, I'm talking to you. We've got to be serious now. He's spoiling the mood, this guy.
That's what I mean. We're just getting into a proper discussion then for a change.
Hang on, got some text messages. Salam, question for Shaykh Haroon. If the people do the Eid Salah according to Imam Shafi, will they need to do the Shafi wudu? I don't know. Is that some kung fu move or something?
Shafi wudu.
Yeah, sounds like it. I'll read this text message, Sheikh, and then you can answer them after.
Okay.
Yeah, please, if you don't mind. It says, Brother Zaid, you're hilarious. Aha, you bring jokes to the show. Big up.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's a joker. He is. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, another one here.
Hold on, Zaid. Tell me truthfully. Did you just say that from yourself, or somebody actually texted you that? Carry on.
Just bring it up here. Yeah, it is there. I'll text. Oh. Talk about the text messages. When I see my solicitor, I'm taking them in for a Shaykh Haroon. When you'll be up in court, don't worry. Home from home for Liverpool supporters. Has this already been answered? Can we still fast when other people are celebrating Eid? So that's one for you, Brother Sajid.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
I think the question is, can we fast when other people might be celebrating Eid?
Thanks for that, because I was actually thinking of sharing something on that. Because I remember last year when we were at Itikaf, some brother from Manchester came in and he was really distressed about it. He said, we're fasting when Saudi have already announced that Eid. So yes, it is forbidden to fast on the day of Eid, but it's not going to happen this year because it looks like it's going to be unified Eid. But let's theoretically say it wasn't 2 days. You're not fasting on the day that you're convinced is Eid.
Yeah, that's the main point. Yeah,
that's ultimately what it's about. So yeah. So you find it's fine to be done some stuff.
Yeah, Jazakallah. A big shout out going out to a young son, 6-year-old. Gesan. I hope I've pronounced his name correctly. And it says here, is it possible for a little shout out to be said for my 6-year-old son, Gesan, who has learned how to perform and read his salah? Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah,
Very good,
mashallah.
mashallah. 6 years old. If you can keep them under your wing, trust me, it is the best time and greatest investment you will give. So, Gesan, well done, son. Big one. Just make sure now that
can
you
I
don't
say something to
bit.
Kaysan? Can I say something to Kaysan? Inshallah, hopefully you're listening here now. I mentioned at the beginning that here we just had a Khatam of Quran today where there was 24 kids and they finished the whole of the Quran. And that was, most of them 3 years ago started from scratch, Alif Bata, and in the space of 3 years now they're fluently finishing the Quran. So Kaysan, that's your challenge. That's your challenge, Kaysan. Now you've learned how to pray, you learned what you need to read. So next Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala, you're going to read the whole of the Quran, or at least the Ramadan after. So Kaysan, push yourself, man. You've done great.
Jazakallah. Jazakallah, Shaykh Haroon. And thanks for either the mum or dad for sending that message. Hopefully it'll inspire all the other little kids that are up there. I know that some of them, my son, for example, is signing in golf, believe it or not. So he did it last year. Sheikh has converted to the true and best football team, Man United. He has actually.
Right. Stop saying these messages from yourself. These are clearly coming from you. Sajid, let's talk now. He's just babbling on.
Okay, let me just answer some of the questions that we got from those text messages. Let's just go a bit back. I think we got one earlier on because our show is called Eid, Not Weed. Someone asked a question about smoking weed. What does Islam say about that?
Sajid, be truthful. You're planning to smoke a bit of weed on Eid, aren't you?
Hey, the secret's out now, Michael.
and is that your supplier over there, Zahid?
Listen, mate, if anyone knows about a supplier, yeah?
His hood there.
Been snorting, been teething, but never been working. Remember that one.
But Sheikh, on a serious point, a lot of people, unfortunately, think that we've actually fasted for 30 days. We've done well. We deserve a bit of celebration. So a bit of weed will do no harm. And I'm not even joking on that. So what would you say to people who are considering of smoking weed on Eid? What would you say?
Okay, first of all, the Prophet ﷺ told us, "Kullu muskirin haram." Anything that affects the mind, any intoxicants, like not just alcohol, something that's stolen you, is considered haram. And in principle, like with alcohol, if somebody's put a drop of brandy in your water, even though you're not going to get drunk of it, the fact that if in a large amount will intoxicate you, a small amount makes it haram. So the same with weed or any other type of drugs. Even if you say that I can hold and it's not going to affect me and so on, it's still considered haram. And then specifically about Eid, you've been fasting all this month. You're celebrating by doing haram. It makes absolutely it's so illogical, that is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made food, and the Prophet actually told us that. These are days of eating and drinking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you so much halal. Just try and you've controlled yourself for 30 days, so control yourself. On the day of celebration, don't spoil the whole of that month.
Okay, Jazakallah. And I think we got a text message.
So is alcohol the same thing as well?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, Jazakallah. We got a text message from my sister. She said that she's just a new Muslim convert. What would be your advice to her in terms of how to maintain, staying on,
I think that's an autocorrect, but my name's not Mr. Haroon.
Well, that is Mania Khan, who's arguably one of the biggest scousers I've ever seen, and he's called you Shaykh Haroon, trying to stab you in the back there, Sheikh. That's what Liverpool supporters do.
MashaAllah, Manir, MashaAllah. I love that guy, MashaAllah.
Okay.
Sorry,
I was just saying that in terms of the text we got earlier from the sister who just became a Riva, in the month of Ramadan, she was asking for your advice in terms of how to kind of spend the rest of Ramadan and after Ramadan. Some advice from yourself?
So if she's just become Muslim in the month of Ramadan, I always say for anybody who's become Muslim, just take it easy. Become more familiarize yourself more with your religion. Get to understand what it is exactly that you believe, and just start working on the essentials of your religion. Learn how to worship properly. So just take it step by step, because it's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah.
But don't push yourself too hard. Don't break yourself.
And I think she wanted to share that she makes dua that for her friends become Muslim as well. And I think she was eager for them to be Muslim. So anything on that?
Sure, we'll make dua to Allah to guide
Okay.
to guide the sister's friends.
Okay.
So,
And
Also, sorry, that sister, she should, if she requires any support, contact us, because sometimes with the barakat of Ramadan, it's a very hospitable place. Outside of
Yeah.
Ramadan, people reset and go back to normal. So if you feel a little bit of isolation and you think, during Ramadan it was great, don't think that the brothers and sisters are not there for you in Islam. Outside, we have lots of people who come through our calls, and we have excellent support network from.
I think yesterday, Sheikh Bilal Brown mentioned that they've just set up a new initiative
Yeah, that's right.
for reverts, eye care. So I think if they get in touch with us, then we can, inshallah, pass the details forward as well.
Yeah,
And
brother, on the screen, Ijas, thanks very much, mashallah, doing dua for the Sheikh. Yeah, we definitely don't want him ending up like Munir Khan. We can all do dua for him, because brother Munir's been holding his breath for 31 years now.
okay.
He's a synchronized swimmer.
I'm not paying any attention to that guy. Go on.
And I think someone asked a question where you mentioned about, I don't know if you answered this question or not, that if you are going to be performing the Eid Salah, you got to according to the Shafi fiqh. And then someone said, do we need to do the ablution according to the Shafi fiqh as well? Or
The standard normal complete ablution is the same. There are some one or two technical differences. The only point to note as a difference is that, for example, with Imam Shafi, if you touch your wife or your partner, it breaks the wudu. So there are one or two slight differences. So somebody is going to adopt an opinion of another Imam, then he should be consistent in how he does and make sure that his prayer and his wudu is valid according to that way. Yeah.
Okay, Jazakallah. And I think we got this question that's quite a lot. There's some people saying that, am I allowed to work on Eid? Especially now that people are working from home, and some people have got work who are key workers, etc. So where do they stand in terms of having to work on Eid day?
Yes, it's allowed to work on Eid. The prohibition of working is for men to work during the time of Jum'ah prayer. There's a clear prohibition. That comes in the Quran itself. But in terms of Eid, although people themselves will try and avoid working because it's a day of happiness and celebration and so on, but there's no clear text in the Quran and the Sunnah that says you're not allowed to work. So especially when you're talking about key workers or people working from home who have to work, then there is no, Wallahu, I don't think there's any prohibition on that.
Okay. And we got this other message as well. If someone was going to do the Eid Salah at home, it was two questions. Who needs to lead it, and who can take part in that Eid Salah at home? Can it be anyone? And does it have to be like a man who needs to lead it, or can it be like a kid or etc.?
Yeah, so anybody who's qualified to lead the prayer can lead it.
Okay.
Potentially, I mean, I don't want to get too technical about it, but yeah, anybody. And then in terms of Jama'ah behind, pretty much anybody can pray. Anybody can pray there.
Okay, Jazakallah.
Hari Bilal, mashallah, the legend. Yes.
I think someone asked it on the back of your United shirt, what number would you like? Is it?
Hold on. You stop behaving yourself as well.
I'm just reading on the screen.
Because I'm convinced that I'm sending these messages to himself.
My hands are here, Sheikh.
Yeah,
my hands are here.
Okay, Jazakallah, thank you. Now, I think, Sheikh, also, we get this question now, but this question is coming a lot. What do we do on Eid day in terms of, yes, you mentioned some of the sunnahs, but people normally hire cars out, people go restaurants, people go families, people go a lot of things. People are saying this is going to be boring. So then they're kind of tempted to do things that they're probably not supposed to do. What would you advise that as a family or as individuals that people can do to celebrate Eid? What are your suggestions, if anything, inshallah?
Well, first of all, I think the guy needs to go see a doctor. There's something wrong with that guy's head. That's the first thing, inshallah.
This is the problem with these Scousers. They keep imagining things. They've just won the Premier League when they haven't. They don't say next. There was a teddy bear on the radio show.
I'm just hearing sound in the background anyway. Although, I mean, I haven't got a clear answer for that. I think just people need to be a bit imaginative in terms of how they celebrate that at home. Like, because you're at home, legally you can't go around and see people and just have large congregations in your family homes and so on. So it's a celebration about making a party also, especially for the kids, making it fun for the kids at home. But the problem here is we're in a lockdown. So just by the nature of a lockdown, all of our freedoms have been taken away. So yes, it's about celebrating, but you can't go out, you can't go and see friends. So you just got to be imaginative at home.
Yeah. So how are you going to be celebrating Eid, Sheikh?
Watching the Champions League final 2005, a rerun.
Right. So he's not really.
I'm not sure. I'll sit down with my wife.
Sheikh, come on, it's a joyous occasion, yeah. Even you've got to enjoy yourself. There's no point going back to them nitty-gritty days, is there?
So yeah.
2005.
Actually, no. Sorry, I forgot last year. I watched last year's final.
You could watch the United treble in his basement. It's saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Brother Maggie said.
I'll sit with the wife and figure out what to do. We'll come up with something, some parts.
So you got a choice of watching the football, or you watch the football, don't you? With regards to this spending time at home, I've never found it to be a bad thing. And one thing I would say to you is, with the use of technology, people have got smartphones, they've got smart TVs. You can link them up. Why not link your family up? You know, there's lots of apps out there, Zoom, Microsoft meetings, all sorts of things. But what you shouldn't do is to be overly worried about legislation and not convey Eid Mubarak. Yeah, we can't go and meet everybody, and we can't hug them and give them the Eid Mubarak. And to be honest with you, you know, with the bad breath of some of these people that come near you on the day, it might not be a bad thing. You know, that.
But you know, when it comes to
wallpaper off the walls.
But you know what? When it comes to the social distancing, you can still go out. You could, for example, if you were going to go to your parents, you can't go inside the house, but you can still go outside the house. You can give them food. You can say Eid Mubarak.
Hold on, Saj. But what are you going to do? Just stand at your parents' doorstep?
But you would rather do that and chat to your parents and say Eid Mubarak, give them a gift.
No, I get that, but it feels so weird. Like for people, like you're at the doorstep, everyone just want to go in, and people are planning to do that anyway.
Yeah, but you know the way that things are, you know, you've got to the lockdown and the way that it's been frozen. It's no longer stay at home. It's be alert. You know, and are they not saying that you could go and visit one family member?
I've got here. It says you can go outside with those in your household, or meet with only one other person who doesn't live in your household, as long as you keep 2-meter distance between yourselves. This must be 2 people in total meeting outside, one from each household. So it goes to show that, yes, you can still go out. And I think let's not get downhearted. You can still go to the park. You and, husband and wife go to the park. You and your son can go to the park. You can go for a walk. You can get an ice cream. You go to the shop. You can go to the takeaway. You can go to your friends. As long as there's only 2 people, there's one person that's not from your household, and you're doing social distancing, there's still quite a lot of things we can still do. So let's not go down the, be a bit sad and, think that we can't do anything. Yes, use a bit of that. As long as you are upholding the social distancing rules, you can still go to the graveyard and do dua. You can still kind of go to your friends, outside and chat to them. You can still Zoom. You can still do a lot of things at home. You can.
Brother,
and I think, yeah, go on.
When we're spending time at home, and we've just spoken about the merits and the beauty of the family system, and that people spend time at home. Why are people all of a sudden worrying and panicking about spending one extra day? With the sisters who make food at home every single Eid, and what do people do? Clear off, or we're going to go out to eat, and they're stuck in it. What about if we actually did everything together? So we're going to get up, we make our breakfast together, and we make our afternoon meal together. Let's make a bit of fun inside that. I think that what we should do is start from whoever's your neighbour, give them one dish each and pass it on. Let's see how far you get. People are clapping for the NHS on a Thursday. What Muslims should do is make a dish, knock on the next door neighbour, it doesn't matter who it is, and offer it to them. Obviously, you know, you get to know your neighbour gets to know you, and it could actually be a good thing. I don't think there's any huge negativities because we can't hire a car. I think it's a blessing in disguise.
And you know what, Brother Zaid? I think a lot of people think, right, Eid is a time where we buy the new cars, we hire new cars, we get new clothes, we have a lot of money, and we get together, you know, as boys or as girls, and then we go to a restaurant or we go somewhere, and people feeling downhearted because that they can't do that. And I think the issue here is what comes first. Your safety comes first. Safety of other people come first. You're protecting yourself from the virus, and you're protecting other people from the virus. So let's put that into mind. Okay, let's get our priorities right. And then when it comes to things at home, listen, you can decorate your home. You've still got a few days. You know, get some decorations, put it in your home. Okay, you know, Eid decorations. Number two, you still got a few days. What we do every year in our house, we call it secret Eid instead of secret Santa, and especially for the kids. So you get them out a hat and you get presents. Do that. You know, it's not late for that. You could do it as a whole family. And now, yes, you know where you would normally get together, you can drop off the present. On the day, you know, you can do that. And at home, you know, you can dedicate a time to watch a movie, to play games. You got board games. You can have quizzes. You can do treasure hunt. You can do 1,000,001 things if you put your mind to it. So let's be positive and say, you know what? Let's do what we can at home. When we get a bit bored, we can still go out. As long as we keep to the guidelines, we can go to the park, we can go for a walk, you can go in a car, you can go for a drive, etc., etc. Sheikh, do you like any of these ideas, or are there any ideas?
What about before you answer that, Sheikh, there's another one that you could also play. You could play secret Premier League. So you've actually thought you've won the Premier League. You can play that game as well.
Oh, mashallah, we have Sheikh. Sorry, we've got Mufti Atiqur Rehman who has joined us now. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Sahab, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Alhamdulillah. Nice of you to join us.
How are you doing? Are you okay?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Mufti, just in case we need any fatwa sending, yeah, I just want to bring you up to speed. If any time you see me do this, yeah, I haven't suddenly become Obi-Wan Kenobi or Jedi Knight. There's been a lot of bullying going on.
Like Ku Klux Klan, to be honest with you, like that. But
yeah, that's exactly what I said.
You need to be on our side. You know, we've got these. You know, I can't even think of the word to describe them. Brother Mani is one of them. You know, Brother Mani Khan, he's one of them. He's had this corruption in his brain for 31 years. If you can do damn on him or something like that, it'd be good for him.
But you know, Brother Zaid, you know, do you know that Mufti Atiqur Rehman, I believe, is also a Liverpool fan as well?
Allahu Akbar. Allah.
I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I have a very I have a spot for there. Liverpool has a special place in my heart.
What's that?
My brother's been living for a number of years, and Imam in the masjid over there, so we have a good connection with Liverpool.
Is it Maulana Shafiq?
Yeah, Imam Shafiq's my brother.
Allah, but I know him, mashallah. I know him.
Listen, brother, you know what?
So you're not going to get hatred for Liverpool from me.
Sorry?
Mufti Atiq, listen, I've got a bit of a heavy rep when it comes to connections. Don't worry, I can get him out there. Yeah, you just come to me. We can do a petition straight away, and we can do it. Set the captives free. He doesn't need to be there any longer than what he is.
Look at Mani's comment.
Yes.
Salam, Mufti Saab, YNWA.
You are never without Allah. You are never without Allah.
I think he's got it wrong. He's talking about that old rap group, NWA. That's what he just got it wrong. Brother Manny has a bit of a learning difficulty. You got to remind him of that. He called him Sheikh's Snoop or something before. What did he call you, Shaykh Haroon? Kaloop or something? He called you some other. Don't worry about Brother Manny.
He called me Haroon.
Yeah.
So if I can ask a quick question to Mufti Atiq. So first of all, how was your month of Ramadan been, and are you looking forward to Eid, and how has it been this year in the actual lockdown?
SubhanAllah, it's been weird. You know, we've lived through 9/11, and with Bosnia and Chechnya and everything else, and earthquakes and all the stuff that's happening around the world, we never affected us, so personally the way coronavirus does, like the lockdown and not being able to go to the masjid and meet our friends, etc. So it's been obviously it's been strange, for me myself, the masjid it plays a big part, in my day-to-day life. Obviously it's completely out the window. Plus my parents, they were supposed to fly back from Pakistan the day after the lockdown, so they've been stuck in PK, until then. But alhamdulillah, I think we can learn a lot of things, from the lockdown. I think it puts perspective. We make appreciate things we took for granted. Definitely, alhamdulillah, I know a lot of the lads I do a lot of work with the youngsters. And one thing they've all said is, next year inshallah they're gonna spend more time in the masjid. They're gonna pray more in the masjid. They're gonna try to recite a bit more Quran. They're gonna try to fast more. They're gonna try to do a bit more, with regards to the.
What we've also talked about is we've also talked about what are the lessons that we can take away from this Ramadan, so we can continue it after Ramadan and after Eid. What would you say are the lessons that you will be taking away or that we can learn from as well?
I think one thing, alhamdulillah, with the lockdown, I think a lot of us have seen, especially with the lads and obviously the girls who don't practice as much, is that something we can actually, if you want to, good things. Alhamdulillah, the work that is done, some of the community work, the outreach work that is done with the community across Oldham, with those who are obviously need supplies and PP, etc., need their shopping done and whatnot. We can see that alhamdulillah, we can step up, and I think one thing I'm going to take from the coronavirus, from this lockdown, is we don't need to wait for a lockdown or something major like this to do good things. Inshallah, I'm hoping, especially with Al-Adab as well, what Maulana Atiqur has done, we can inshallah, take this forward and throughout the year, build this up, and inshallah, we've all seen it, especially in Oldham and Manchester and these places, homeless people and people who are struggling. Inshallah, what I want to do is, after this lockdown, to continue this kind of work, inshallah.
Yeah, Jazakallah. I'm just going to go to Shaykh Haroon. I believe he has to go. So first of all, Shaykh Haroon, Jazakallah for taking part in our show throughout this month, and may Allah reward you. And if you want to leave any final messages for our audience, inshallah.
So yeah, the last thing to say, as we said at the beginning, is that when we finish Ramadan, we still need to maintain and keep our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we're not in Ramadan it's not about the month of Ramadan, it's more than that. It's about the Lord of Ramadan. We're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and especially because for many people, even those who are not practicing before, didn't identify themselves as practicing Muslim, there has been a change that's happened because of lockdown. It's like Allah has forced us into doing something despite ourselves. So simple as, let's just keep that going after Ramadan. As you said before, just pick up on one or two things that you feel has made a real difference, and it's changed within you. Just hold on to that. Do the 6 days of Shawwal, because you've been fasting throughout the month. You're reading Quran all the time, so just carry on doing a bit of that Quran. Praying in Jama'ah in the home, which for many people didn't used to take place. Now the mosques have been closed. The homes have become masajid. So just keep that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, quickly this will be lifted. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay. And have you got any final words for Brother Zaid?
Yeah, no, I'm deadly serious. Once we won the league, it's going to be 2 games. Let's do a show then. Let's do a show.
Yeah, we can do a show then. Can we do a show about Watford? Can we do a show about Atletico Madrid? And
so yeah, so are you agreeing to that? We've got 3 witnesses there now. When we won the league, you're gonna come on. You're gonna join Klopp's army with me, and we're gonna sing "You'll Never Walk Alone" together. Okay?
Sheikh, there's begging that the Liverpool supporters have been doing. Brother Manny has been professionally begging for 31 years. It has to stop. Yeah. Let's pray for the Palestinians.
Make a special dua for this guy. There's something wrong in his head there.
Yeah. And Mufti, can I just ask, from an Arabic point of view, if somebody slips all the time, is there a special dua that we can have?
Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min an azilla wa uzal.
Yeah. I don't know.
Protection against the shaitan and the shayateen. There's a good dua for that.
Yeah, and we're talking to a lure of the shaitan right now.
Yeah, what about Mufti Sahib? What about you know, what about those people who are trying to take something that's not theirs, for example? You know.
Okay, inshallah. Anyway, Sajid, assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless you for being so patient with this guy. With this guy.
Shaykh Haroon, on a serious level, you've been inspirational, and you know, the
Allah.
laughing and joking and banter aside, if I've caused any kind of offence, or if there's anything that I said that was,
It's a bit too late for that now.
you know, all I
Way
can
too
say
late
is,
for that.
you know, if I caused any kind of offence or said something that you didn't like, just know from the bottom of my heart, I meant every single word.
I believe you. I believe
Yeah,
you.
and inshallah, we hope that we can, you know, when I come to Liverpool to pick my wheels back up again, we're going to come and see you, Sheikh, and we'll bring Mufti Atiq's brother back. Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry, Mufti. You know, inshallah, we'll bring him back. He'll be. If we can bring him back, I'll say that I'll go on gush with you, and we'll bring all the rest of the scousers home as well. So, Sheikh Haroon, you'll definitely never walk alone, because we'll always be asking you to come back. You know, just remember that there is a big difference between.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh,
Allahumma ighfir lil
Haroon
muslimina
Hanif,
wal muslimat.
yeah, may he
Ameen,
get all the
ameen,
reward for helping us, and blessings and Eid Mubarak to him and his
Mubarak.
family, even
Eid
the
Mubarak,
ones in
Sheikh.
Liverpool.
Eid Mubarak to all of you, inshallah.
Eid Mubarak.
Inshallah. Thank you.
Take care, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Okay, so let me ask. So what we've talked about in the show so far is we've started off with what were the lessons that we can take away from the month of Ramadan, and then we kind of discussed a bit about, you know, why there's two Eids, and we've kind of had a bit of a discussion in terms of can we eat. Sorry.
It might be one Eid, who knows?
Inshallah, yeah. And I think we were just kind of getting an understanding of why people follow Saudi and why they follow Morocco, and you know what we can do and how that is having an impact on people. Okay, I'll get your views on some of these issues as well. But what I wanted to start with, and this is something that we discussed earlier, it was that people were getting confused about the Eid Salah. You know, can we read it? Shall we not read it? And Shaykh Haroon gave his view that, you know, from the Hanafi viewpoint, he thought that it wasn't necessary, that you don't have to read it. And I mentioned to him that, you know, that there are other scholars within the Hanafi school of thought who said that it is permissible. He goes, yes, that is an opinion, but that's not one that he follows. So if you want to shed some light, because I think some people are confused, and I'm getting a lot of messages about that as well. So from your understanding, if you want to just explain it, please.
So first things first, it's true, you don't have to. If you're in the lockdown, if you don't want to pray Eid at home, you don't have to pray at home. The obligation isn't there. That's the concept. Anyway, within the Hanafi school, there are two views. One is that because the obligation isn't there, you pray nafil at home, so 2 rakah or 4 rakah nafil. And the other view is that you still pray Eid Salah if you can fulfill the conditions, which is basically getting the required number of adult males. More or less, that's the condition that you need. Obviously, it's up to you which view you adopt. There's nothing wrong with that. Whichever scholar you trust, you just take that. Both are correct, inshallah. And probably just like again the same thing with the Eid. Both opinions are correct, inshallah. And same thing with this. If somebody prays the Eid Salah at home, that's fine. If somebody prays 2 rakah nafil or 4 rakah nafil at home, that's fine as well. Both are correct. Obviously, we are adopting the view that you can pray the Eid Salah at home, as you know, obviously on Facebook, etc., on Snapchat.
Yeah.
That's what it's but again, obviously, I'll reiterate that you don't have to pray Eid Salah at home.
And you know what is, Sheikh? I think people are obsessed with this issue, and I think people, for some reason, so go on.
The Saudi, and it's the same thing about being obsessed with issues they're never going to go away. Like this Saudi issue now is being. I mean, I'm 29 years old, and since I was a child, I remember, you know, Eid and all the different days. So it's the same thing. You know, these are mine issues. Obviously, Brother Nassim knows as well. We had that. We have discussion on WhatsApp as well. And this is something which you know, you can discuss back and forth for hours, and you can bring evidence from here and evidence from there.
So what would be your advice to people who are obsessed with these issues and they don't seem to let go of these issues?
I'll just have a simple question, to be honest with you. You know, Eid Salah comes around the year. It comes twice a year. You know, the 5 Fard Salah. How many of us are praying that, you know, regularly? The 5 Fard Salah. Let alone, you know, what's our income like? Is it halal? Are we spending in the right places? What's our relationship with parents? Are we a for society? Are we a menace to society. What are we doing in our day-to-day life? That's more important to be looking at. That's something which there's no difference of opinion. If you're causing issues in the community, if you're not talking to your parents for no reason, if you're not praying the salah regularly, the daily salah, there's no difference of opinion there. That's black and white. So we need to look at what's more important and what's actually what we need to look at instead of looking at it like this. It's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Mufti, I think we're getting quite a few questions that are coming through. The first one is, are there any things that you must do on Eid day? If we are told that Eid is down to your own choice, are there any compulsory things that one must do on Eid day?
So there's with Eid al-Fitr, obviously with both Eid, the Salah is what is compulsory. For Eid al-Adha, obviously on top of the Salah, you have the Qurbani that you have to do as well. With Eid al-Fitr, on top of the, as well as the Salah, you have Fitrana or Sadaqatul Fitr, Zakatul Fitr, which you have to give. And these are compulsory things. Other than that, there are Sunnah acts obviously we should try to do, because like I said, Eid only comes, twice a year. So,
In terms of the Fitrana, Sheikh, what some people do is they just usually give it on Eid day just before the Jamaat. Should we be giving that a few days before? And
yes,
what would you say?
lately we've got used to giving Fitrana, going to the masjid and giving on the day. That's what we've got used to. But really, we should be giving a lot earlier than that, so that the poor can actually benefit from it. So, obviously, the charity that we're running at the moment, we collect Fitrana a lot earlier. But actually, alhamdulillah, it's already been distributed as well, to the poor. In Pakistan, we've already started distributing a lot of it. Most of it has already been distributed. So it should be given earlier. And I think that's just, we're a lazy community. It's easy to go to the market and just throw £3 or £4 money into the bucket. It's the easy.
Or like some people do, Mufti, they put the £5 in and take the £20 out. Remember that one as well? Yeah. As far as Eid is concerned, and this notion that we're in this massive lockdown, which the government sort of got a lot of people confused on. Do our neighbours not have rights on Eid day? In terms of the well-being, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, or is this something that just doesn't exist?
Obviously, so the rights of the neighbours is all year round, not just Eid day. The rights of the neighbours all year round. The Prophet mentioned the hadith about Jibreel Islam continue to advise and give me points regarding the neighbours, to such an extent. And obviously the hadith that a person who believes in Allah and the final day, a person who claims to be a Muslim, have excellent his neighbours, Muslim or non-Muslim. So obviously, of course, that's there. And sending some food up to them while maintaining social distancing and all other things that we should be doing. That's looking to do.
And are there any suggestions that you would like to give? Because a lot of people are stressing out. Listen, I can't hire my car out. We can't go anywhere. We can't go to Winslow Road. We can't go with the lads, and they don't know what to do.
And that's just the Muslim sisters saying that.
So what would you say, Sheikh, to people who are kind of getting stressed about that? How can they celebrate Eid in the lockdown?
As you've had me on Facebook for years, so that I've been pushing in my talk and everything, about spending, we spend the rest of the year with our boys, 363 days of the year we spend with the boys. Why not spend 2 days with family? At least they get the family coming on. You see people, everyone's off work, they've taken time off work, you get to see people sitting on a meal. Obviously, the lockdown is different. Well, at least this time with the immediate family, how many youngsters can honestly say that, when was the last time they sat down and had a proper discussion with their parents, had a proper discussion with their younger siblings? It's been a long time like that, so why not? This is the perfect opportunity to spend more time with the family, spend time with the boys.
Yeah, I think people say that's a bit boring, Sheikh. So,
well, that's boring. That I can't do anything about that. To be honest with you, realistically, haram is always a bit more. It's more appealing, isn't it? Honestly, haram is more appealing, and that's that's where it's a test, isn't it? So if it's boring, then it's up to you to spruce up a bit, make it a bit more interesting.
Well, I would agree with that.
Boring. We're used to, the way we live now is, we want everything, like, we want entertainment and everything like that. You sit down and talk, the elders, they sit there for hours and hours, and they don't look bored to me, they look like they're having the time of their lives.
What I never understand, Mufti Atiqur, is that when people hire these big cars, and they say, oh, we're going to drive them around. They can't hardly drive them because they've never driven that type of car before. And all they're doing is going into Manchester on Winslow Road, where the Greater Manchester Police makes it their lifetime's ambition to arrest people. And they're going within 300 meters up and then spending another 20 minutes to get around the corner and come back down again. So if you think that that's, a big deal, and that's really something, they've got really shallow lives, haven't they?
Does that still happen, Brother Zaid? Does that still happen?
Yeah, really? That's it. Even though, we have Brother Osama, who has a business there, and I ring him and ask him how things are. I stopped going there over 10 years ago after it started getting appalling. And he says, brother, always the same. They come, they have Coke cans and they drink, and they come and they're intoxicated. And the first thing they're going to say to us, with the girlfriend, is the food halal? Obviously, the girlfriend who's haram needs to have halal food, because otherwise he won't be a proper Muslim, innit? That's the big thing to remember.
Yeah. And I think just wanted to ask a few questions in terms of when it comes to, because a lot of the time we have this thing that, within the Asian community, where most of the time the wife or the daughter or the daughter-in-laws or whatever spend all day on Eid just cooking and cleaning and so forth. So when it comes to Eid or the night before Eid, on the day of Eid, what is our responsibility here? Should be a collective responsibility, Sheikh, or is it the responsibility of the women to cook and clean for us on Eid day?
Or should we be looking after the Sky remote just in case someone nicks it, and we can sit in the chair with a Sky remote and a cup of kava? Always remember that as well. Sorry, Mufti Saab, we can't hear you there.
Say, what does Brother Nassim say to that question?
Brother Nassim can't mention it because that's the ginger brew wizard. Brother Nassim's gone through 3/4 of the world's ginger in the last 3 months.
Alhamdulillah. I love my ginger tea, and I don't do tea without ginger. But what I would say to that is, during this lockdown, why not get the men to cook and assist, inshallah ta'ala? This is a beautiful opportunity. My cooking skills during the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, have gone much better.
I think I can cook better than any woman, to be perfectly honest with you, because I'm saying that with the greatest deal of confidence, because my wife will never hear the show, so I can say it with very good confidence.
But you know what, Sheikh? When we talk about that the Prophet Muhammad is the best of mankind, we should follow his role model. And then we hear that the Prophet used to take part in the household chore, the Prophet used to do some of the duties, but we as men seem to be embarrassed to take part in the household duties. Isn't that a bit of a hypocrisy there? Or do you think that it's not our responsibility? I know you.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things with that question. A lot of the men, I think they probably don't know how to cook. To be honest with you, that's what it is. They don't know how to cook. I actually in madrasas, cooking and ironing my clothes and hoovering and making my own bed and stuff like that. We had to practice. I had 10 years of practice. We did it at home anyway, but then you had 10 years of practice. So alhamdulillah, I'm kind of confident with making beans on toast and stuff like that. I'm making pot noodles, etc.
Mufti, you know what? That's not very good inspirational talk, is it? If it wasn't for the fact that you're a Mufti, as far as I'm concerned, my fatwa would be that's a cooker position for that one. Considering, that you can't be making pot noodles, sticking water in it. And the other big recipe that Mufti, the other big earth-shattering recipe you came out with is beans on toast.
But on a serious note, Sheikh.
So I think that's what it is. I think a lot of men, I don't think they're confident with, when it comes to cooking or ironing clothes or even doing the hoovering and stuff like that. I genuinely think they don't know how to do it. I don't know.
Is it because we expect the wife to do that? Is it our culture where we think we don't have to do anything? It's our honor here. That's her job. My job is just to work and earn for the family. Her job is to do that. Is that an Islamic concept, or is that just an Asian culture?
Not just Asian culture. Obviously, there are a lot of cultural things in
Western culture. Yeah.
What do you call it? Curry. Now, obviously, on the flip side, if there's a man is working all day, he's working. We work 8 in the morning, he's coming back at 5 and 6, and his wife isn't working. Then I do think it's reasonable for him to to think that because I'm at work all day, if food is that's reasonable. I don't see any issue with that, especially if he's told his wife, listen, I'll be working, you just stay at home, you don't need to work, I'll go and earn, then I think it's reasonable for him to expect me when I get back after 7-8 hour shift, get back home, to expect some food. There's nothing wrong with that. However, on the flip side, just to be sat there and think I'm not going to get involved in washing any food, or I'm not going to get involved in anything whatsoever. I'm just going to eat, leave my dishes there, pull my socks off, and just go straight upstairs with all my friends. That's the completely wrong way of doing things.
Should it not be a partnership agreement where everyone does, gets involved with everything? Because if you think about it, you're in the same house. If you're not tidying up as you go, I'm obsessed with cleaning, and I try and make sure that I lead by example. I don't put it upon my wife or anybody else for that matter, because I grew up with 4 brothers. We didn't have any sisters, so we were taught. And my, dad, was a Amir of the Tabligh Jamaat. He said, look, if we're going to go on Tabligh, and I went out and I went on 14 days, said, you're going to have to fend for yourself. You learn, I think this discipline that men have, they all need to go on a chiller once in their life. They need to go out of their comfort zone, and they need to go and find out. Because you know why I say this? And I'll show you the examples of it. When kids go to university, they get there, and within 2 weeks, they're in real crisis. They're fed up with the takeaways. They can't resort on pot noodle and, beans on toast, like somebody suggested. They're thinking to themselves, I can't wait to get up. And when they come home, they've got this, bag which is bigger than Santa Claus has on the 25th of December with all the laundry, because they cannot do anything themselves. And sadly, women, young sisters are growing up saying, it's not my job either. I think everyone has a responsibility to clean. Everyone should be able to be responsible to cook, because God forbid, if somebody in your family is ill, what are you going to do? I think that the ideas where people say that's nothing to do with men and this is nothing to do with women, I don't think that they ever had a place in Islam.
Yeah.
Obviously the Prophet used to mend his own clothes, and he'd help around the house. That's not famous. Everyone knows that, but like you said, obviously it's about acting upon it, which is a hard thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If I could go to Brother Zaid, if you want to go to some text messages, and then we'll go to the Shaykh.
Yeah. The first one is asking a question about how you go about reading this Dua Namaz, and what is the procedure for it, and how you make the niyat, the intention for that one.
For Duha, so instead of praying the Eid Salah, they pray Duha. Yeah, so you just make 2 rak'ah Duha. I'm praying 2 rak'ah Duha, and you pray Surah Fatiha and the Surah in each rak'ah, obviously. And then you can do Salam after 2 rak'ah, and then do a separate 2 rak'ah. If you want to just pray 2, that's enough as well. But the intention is just I'm praying 2 rak'ah Duha Nafal. It's enough.
Okay.
Brilliant, thank you.
And if you were going to do the Eid Salah at home, and I've seen your video today on Facebook, so I would recommend anyone who wants to know how to learn or do the Eid Salah at home. Mufti Atiqur has done a Facebook short talk, about 5 minutes, on his Facebook page, and how to do it. If you want to just say a few words on that, Shaykh, how to read it, inshallah.
Eid Salah, there's no adhan, there's no iqamah. It's 2 rak'ah, okay? So in the first rak'ah, you will start Allahu Akbar. You say Thana, which is Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarak ismuka ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. After that, you will raise your hands either to your ears or to your shoulders, saying Allahu Akbar, and let them fall by your side. Then the second time, Allahu Akbar, raise your hands, fall by your sides. Allahu Akbar the third time, then you fold your arms, you recite Surah Fatiha and a Surah, and you complete the first rak'ah moment. Then you stand up for the second rak'ah, you recite Surah Fatiha and a Surah. After the Surah, you will do the 3 extra takbir, Allahu Akbar, up, and to your sides 1. Second time to your ears and down, third time to your ears and down, and the fourth time you say Allahu Akbar without raising your hands, going to ruku and complete the salah as normal. After the salah, there's a khutbah. Again, there's khutbah sunnah. So if you feel a bit nervous, you think so I can't do the khutbah. I'm a bit nervous with this, and you miss the khutbah, that is fine. Obviously, other schools of thought there are 7 takbirs in the first rak'ah and 5 in the second rak'ah. So just do what you normally do in previous years.
So this is based on which school of thought? The Hanafi school of thought.
With 3 takbirs in the first and 3 in the second, that is the Hanafi school of thought, and so 6 altogether. And the other school of thought is 12 extra takbirs, 7 in the first rak'ah and 5 in the second. You just do what you normally do every year.
Brilliant, Jazakallah. But that?
Yeah, another question that's come in is a sensitive one. If a sister is in her menstrual cycle, can she perform anything on Eid day?
Okay, so with regards to a woman who's on her time of the month, other than praying salah and reciting Quran, she can do any of the dhikr, durood sharif, dua, the takbirat of Eid, and all those actions of Eid. She can do that. With regards to reciting the Quran, our understanding of the fiqh is that a lady who's on her time of the month cannot recite the Quran either from memory or from the Quran, and she can't pray salah. That's our understanding of the fiqh.
Jazakallah. Got a message here from Mani Khan Zaid. I know that I don't know if you can cook, but you can definitely put it away better than anyone else. NWA, this is Liverpool supporter, Sheikh. I'll explain it to you. Why NWA? You'll never win anything. That's Mani Khan. If you see him anywhere, he'll be talking to you, but really he's in sleep mode. He's been sleeping for 31 years. Mani has.
Man is a very good brother of ours, mashallah. He's looked after us, alhamdulillah, throughout. And
yeah,
I got for the guy, definitely.
Yeah, everyone's got a lot of love for Mani, and we'll use his. Hopefully, he can break your brother out of Liverpool when we do the runner.
Zaid, you got more text?
This I don't know whether we've asked this, but it's come through again. Can we fast when other people are celebrating Eid?
I think Shaykh Haroon answered it, but Shaykh, if you want to answer that one again.
No, if Shaykh Haroon answered, then it's fine, inshallah. If you will do Eid according to when you start Ramadan. So if you start Ramadan on Friday, then you do Eid obviously on Sunday. If those who start Ramadan on Saturday, if they're doing Eid on Monday, then you can't just you can choose a little bit there. You've just got to stick to what you did.
Okay. Yeah, a question coming through from a sister who wants to remain doesn't want a name. It says that, mashallah, I have 5 children, but this year, as we have not been at work since March, financially it is quite difficult. I feel guilty that I'm not allowed to buy them. I can't afford to buy them clothes because I'm told that they have to have new clothes on Eid day. What do I do?
They don't have to have new clothes on Eid day. They don't. You can wear your fresh clothes. That's in a new pair of clothes. Secondly, if the sister is based in Oldham, tell her to please get in touch with Al Adab, Mulana Atiq from Al Adab. Inshallah, they should be able to help.
Yeah, Jazakallah. Also, if you get in touch with UKEF, I know that they have a shop. I don't know if the charity shop is open, Brother Nassim.
It's not. Just a minute. We are taking phone calls, and inshallah ta'ala, the sisters are meeting sisters and brothers, etc., at the shop. If there is something that they need, we can also deliver it to them. So inshallah ta'ala, that can be arranged.
And on that point as well, sorry, Zaid, and anyone who is watching, and anyone, if you know anyone that is going to struggle on Eid day in any way, then please get in touch with Brother Zaid, and we can pass the details on to Brother Nassim, and also to Qari Bilal, and also to Mufti Atiqur Rehman, and other people who are doing work in our own community. So we don't want anyone to be struggling on Eid day or even after Eid day. So if anyone is struggling, please do get in touch with us. We will, inshallah, do our best to pass your details on to these organizations and these brothers who do the fantastic work. Brother Zaid.
Yeah, on that point, it might be that there's a degree of pride where you think, I don't want to ring up and ask for help. But remember, in Islam, there's no question that you can't ask. And as a Muslim, we consider ourselves to be part of the Ummah. So you can ask, we are your brothers in Islam. People, we can't always give you the answer that you want to hear, but we would never lie to you. There might be somebody who's just feeling a little bit isolated, feeling overwhelmed with it all. I've received a couple of calls where people are anxious about going to work after this virus. But the main thing is that after Ramadan, the good deeds, the good intentions shouldn't just fall off the end of the table and we don't bother and go back to our own routine. You should be able to pick up the phone. You can send us a text, and there's lots of people that we can put you in touch with, and it's all confidential as well.
Yeah. Okay, but is that next text?
Yeah, the other question was, and this is, as I said, there is no wrong questions. This isn't sensitive. It's quite, you say, look, we've got a load of kajurs, or kajis, do you call them, yeah? What do we do with them? Yeah, what do we do with them after Ramadan? Because we're not going to eat them, but we bought too many.
Make
So-
date balls. Make date balls. Kajur is good all year round. It's not just for Ramadan. That's our culture.
Yeah,
We
I tend to eat them all year round as well.
Yeah, we can eat
Remember,
them.
Is
kajur
it,
is
is it
for
not, Sheikh, is it not Sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ, I believe, used to have the dates? Is it 3 dates every day, I believe, with milk, etc.?
So you have kajur. The main thing is that you have kajur outside Ramadan as well. It's our cultural thing. It's being commercialized. You know, the kajur thing. You just before Ramadan, you get this big portion. So, this year we were selling Palestinian kajur, and it's crazy the amount that people buy. But you think all year round, no one even thinks about kajur. Then they're just lying down. You should be kajur outside of Ramadan. You can have kajur milkshakes and other things. You can. I'm sure the kajur will go to us, inshallah.
can you
Obviously, you
could you
should think
ever
ahead of it. How much did a person buy that they've got so much kajur left over? Especially in these times where people are struggling to save how much kajur
I
have they
think,
bought.
yeah, I think what the sister's trying to say is, look, what do we do with them if we're not going to use them? Because it's
Each
a food
year-
item, isn't it? Could you donate them somewhere?
I mean, obviously, brother Nassim does some work.
I think that things like their food of Brother Nassim, if you
Yeah.
had unopened packets of kajur, I'm pretty sure that they could take
We-
care
we-
of him.
We take dates, kajur, any time of the year. So as long as they are not opened, inshallah ta'ala, we can distribute them. Alhamdulillah, there's absolutely no issue at all. So get in touch with me, we can sort
Yeah.
that out.
And if you've got a couple of kajur that you can't do anything with, you could always hide them under your beans on toast when you're having them. No one will know any different, will they?
So kajur milkshake is awesome.
You've got some filthy taste in food. Oh,
I never talked about Mufti Saab, I never mentioned beans on toast.
kajur beans on. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
What about pot noodle? Could you shove it in the side there? Hide it inside there?
Make
Because
it-
obviously, if you're a great cook, the first thing you're going to be able to make is pot noodle. And then if you're the greatest cook, a Michelin star cook, you're going to make beans on toast, aren't they?
No, there's levels to this. There's another level after beans on toast as well.
Please tell us more,
No.
Mufti Ramzi.
Any more
What are you gonna-
questions?
What's the other level after beans on toast? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, there are many levels. I can't let you in on all my secrets. Sorry about that.
No,
Sorry.
not in one go. The
If
other,
you were, I told you.
yeah, true. The other thing is with regards to again, no questions are a stupid question. But sister's saying every year my husband takes me to the jewelers and buys me gold. What do I do?
Stop going.
Well, you can't go to the shops as far as I know because they're shut, aren't they? So this sister's obviously.
Look at the shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that everything's shut.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
You know
Donate
what
that
you
money
could
to
do?
charity.
Donate the money. Donate the money. I know of a brother who had intention to do Hajj this year, and he couldn't do Hajj, so he's donating
Oh, I
money
saw that
instead.
video. Yeah, £5,000 he gave to charity.
Yeah,
Well, this is
mashallah.
somebody who's given more. This is not somebody who's done it live. This is somebody else who's given more than that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
of course he
and-
charity. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this person didn't do it on TV or anything like that. He's given 4 or 5 times that amount, but because he was going to take his whole family, and he said, "Look, inshallah, I'm giving it to charity, and I hope with that act of charity, I just want one thing. I want Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to give me the opportunity to go when it's my time to go again."
Allah.
Yeah, because I remember when I used to dodge
mashallah.
the Tabligh Jamaat.
And also,
he used to
Sheikh.
say to me, Brother Sa, he used to say to me, "How come you're not going to the Jamaat?" When the Jamaat used to come, I used to come through the back door, thinking I'm going to flee them. But then when they caught up with me at the end of Oxford Street, they used to say to me, "Listen, come here, you. Why come you?" And I used to say, "Look, I'll go when I'm called." So many are called, few are chosen. That's what I'll say. That's my defence anyway in law,
Brother Saj.
because that's not gone down very well.
Yeah. And you know what, Sheikh? The other day we had a show about, the other day we had a show about what kind of a Muslim are you? Okay. And just one question I want to ask yourself is, everyone is at different stages in their life in terms of their journey in Islam. Now, some people are 5-time namazis, some people have a big beard, some people, wear the topi, jubba, they follow the sunnats. What would you say to people? People ask this question, I'm not a good Muslim, I can't really do my namaz, I do my best. What do you think after Ramadan? What advice would you give them that will help them and give them that motivation to do a bit more, so that will make them a bit more practicing?
You know, I'm sure it's not just me, even all you guys, you know, you all know someone who, subhanAllah, is a practicing Muslim, and they only started practicing maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They weren't always practicing, and everyone starts somewhere. You know, no one becomes, you know, a saint overnight. You know, you work on yourself, you bet yourself. It's just like going to the gym. You don't become hench like Brother Zaid, you know, overnight. You have to work, and you have to, you know, follow that and the rest of it. Same thing with Deen as well. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't beat yourself down. You know, every time you pray Salah, it's a small victory against Shaitan. Every time you stop yourself from a sin, that's a victory against Shaitan. You've got to look at it that way. Otherwise, you're just going to give up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "La taqnatu min rahmatillah." Never give up the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never give up in the mercy of Allah. So you just have to take it by day, by step.
So even if someone, because we get this question quite a lot, even if someone is saying, I've got bad habits, you know, I smoke weed or I watch porn or whatever it is, and then I feel bad that I'm going to go to Allah and I'm going to read my salah, I feel a bit embarrassed. That's why I don't do it at all. What would you say to people who feel a bit ashamed in terms of what they do?
Yeah, that's a trick from Shaitan. You know, Shaitan tells you that you've done so many sins. What's the point now? You know, you've not prayed for. You know, a lot of people in Ramadan, they don't pray because they have not prayed all year. Why should they pray now? Or don't pray Jummah because they have not prayed all week. Why should they pray Jummah? This is a trick from Shaitan. You know, he's made that promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to, continue to attack the son of Adam, to continue to attack them, you know, and stop them. So this is just a whisper from the Shaitan. You still have to make the effort. You know, we know of people who, you know, the hadith, who are forgiven, you know, even a life's worth of sin over one good deed that they did. And we know of obviously pious, you know, people in our history, you know, pious people who maybe spent a life of being a drunkard, a life of being, you know, a highway robber, and he turns into, you know, an imam, you know, turns into a pious, you know, person whose stories are used as examples. So you can't give up. You know, you can't give up. That's the only message I can say to you.
What I can say to that question is also, just spin it around for a minute, because what you're saying is every time you do something wrong, you feel shame. That means that part of you is already good. Because if you felt no shame, that's when there's a big problem. So when you're drinking alcohol, if somebody justifies drinking alcohol, like some people have done earlier in Ramadan, saying that it's prescribed we can drink alcohol so long as we don't get drunk, that's when you're trying to justify a haram. That's not on. That's where there's no decency in somebody. But if somebody has an addiction, whether it's smoking cannabis or drinking, and each time they do it, they feel appalled, it means the shaitan hasn't got his claws into you fully so far. And like Mufti Atiqur said, you know, the salvation will come in small steps. You're not going to suddenly go from doing nothing to reading all 5 namazes on time. If you just read one of them or make the intention for one of them, then it's a start, isn't it?
Yeah, and also on that as well, Sheikh, is one question that I've been getting with the last few days from a lot of parents is saying that in lockdown, because there's no schooling, you know, there's homeschooling, but they're not going to school and they're only doing the masjid work for an hour online, etc. And they seem to be obsessed or hooked on the PS4 and Xbox. And because we can't really, you know, they can't go anywhere. And we feel like, you know, when they play Fortnite or when they play other games, you know, they change as a person. And a lot of parents are asking for advice. How do we kind of, you know, there's a fine line between letting them play, but then they get hooked on it. We can't let them go out, so we feel sorry for them and we let them play. What would you advise the actual parents on this? Because they're you know, concerned about this.
I think this question shows the importance of having parenting workshops, you know, before marriage, during, you know, after a person gets married as well, after they have children as well. It's the importance of this, because obviously a lot of people don't know how to be parents then, and they don't know how to do proper parenting. You know, you should be on that, you and your children should have that understanding and that relationship and those kind of, you know, parameters and boundaries at home, where they know that this is a set time to play, now it's time to read a book, now it's time to do your work, now it's time to help out with the, also, you know, a little here and there. There should be a routine. You know, the sad thing is obviously I teach the masjid as well, and the amount of parents who want the masjid to open again and the children to come back in purely because they've had enough of them. They just don't want them at home, and I think that's it's sad. That's
really
sad.
bad.
I mean, I don't have any children that age, so maybe I'm talking from a position of ignorance, but to me that is just
I mean,
really bad.
I'll give you an example, and so can Brother Nassim and even with Zaid. I mean, I've got two boys, one's 13 and one is 10. And I think, like you said, you need to have a routine. So mine, they wake up, watch a bit of telly, do your homeschooling for 2, 3, 4 hours. Then I check it. So does my wife. Then do your wuzu. We read the namaz by Jamaat. Then you've got your PS4 time. So if you've done your homework, you've done your mosque, you've done your reading, and your behavior is good, they're not fighting with each other, then you can go on the PS4. Then you've got an hour. Then it's mosque time, and then after that they've got an hour. As long as the behavior is there, as long as they're reading the namaz, as long as they're reading the Quran, as long as they're doing the homework, and as long as they're going out for a bit, doing a walk, and getting some light, then I don't mind them having. And with my kids, 2 hours a day. 2 hours a day. That's only in the lockdown. Usually, before the lockdown, it was only Friday 1 hour, Saturday 2 hours, and Sunday 2 hours. Monday to Thursday, no PS4. So you got to have some kind of.
You've got a routine, innit? You've got a routine. Their homework, then schoolwork, then masjid work, then salah, then their little jobs. When you have a routine, then you can do that. I think the problem is a lot of parents don't have that routine. They're either too lazy or they don't know how to make a routine, and that takes me back to the parents' workshops. We need to have something like that.
And you know what I'm really surprised with, Sheikh, is some people, because I do this as a job in terms of mental health, and I get a lot of these calls, and they say, my son, I don't understand it. He's 15, 16, and he won't go off the PS4 because the PS4 is in his bedroom. Okay, I go,
supposed to be in the bedroom.
Exactly.
When I was working, when I was working in school as well, I was doing pastoral work as well. So my pastoral manager, she said it as well. The PlayStation in her room in her house for her grandson is in the front room, where basically it's there and he's got direct, eyesight. She can see and she can hear what he's doing. So there's no, she knows who he's talking to. She knows if he's getting out of hand and all the rest of it. So that's what we should do as well. The PlayStation should come downstairs, in the front room or in the back room or something where where you can keep an eye on it.
But in terms of the workshops that you mentioned, Sheikh, about, do these workshops exist in masjids for parents in terms of if they want to learn from an Islamic point of view how to bring up children?
So I think workshops per se might not exist, but in terms of talks on this, they're always there. I myself, I've lost the count of how many times I've spoken of this in Jummah or in a normal talk, or in terms of posting on social media about parenting. It seems to be that people don't take on board, because it's lazy parenting. It's easy just slap them with a PlayStation and then for a couple of hours they're out your head, aren't they?
Too much hard work, isn't it? Too much hard work.
Yeah, on this, there's a couple of points. I think the first one is an exceptional point Brother Nassim made, and that is about these electronic devices and where they are. So he said, we don't allow laptops in somebody's, if you're going to use a laptop, keep it open so that we can all see it. That way then, you know what's going on. But here's a couple of things that business tools are. So in management, one of the things that is always drummed in, and we, even at the most senior level, people do what you inspect, not what you expect. You expect them to do something, they're not going to do it. They only do stuff if they know you're going to inspect it. They know that you're going to look at their homework, they're going to do it. My son, he does his homework, mashallah, but I look at it all the time because I have issues with his writing, so I help him. Let's get your writing right. And, on one of his questions, I remember it was something like, can you tell us where Egypt is? Yes. His answer was yes, that's it. I can tell you, yes. Trying to be clever. So people, as a parent, if we expect something and we don't inspect it, you're not going to get anywhere. And the second thing is to do with delegation or abdication. So delegation is, look, I am not very good, genuinely, I'm not the best person to teach anybody, especially young children, because I have very little patience for them. However, my elder brother has enormous patience. So when it came to my son's Islamic studies, which I considered to be more important than this work at school, I said, look, let's get him to a Garissa, but when he comes back home, I want to spend time with him. And so that's what I did. The opposite is what Mufti Atiqur will see, which is abdication. When are you going to go there? Between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Between 5 o'clock, can you not stay there longer? You know, that's called
Yeah, we've
abdication.
had parents saying keep children longer because you want to have more time watching our TV shows.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that is abdication. And you know what we see then is you see that child who grows up and he is he's like basically a brand new video game. So at the first few days he wants to be enjoyed, he loves it. But then when it gets a bit stale, he thinks, wait for the new. Children are not toys. They are human life they are a blessing and a responsibility. And one day there will be somebody. And when children are not nurtured, are not supported, are not talked to, then they come to me. When they're 17, I don't know, I bought my son £300 worth of trainers. What, can you write me a letter because he's in court for drugs? Can you write me a letter because, why? Where were you before? This abdi, I'm strongly against it. I'm strong. One of the other things also, and you see this, and Brother Nassim see this all the time, is this abdication doesn't just stop at school, the mosques. They put a burden on the imam. Can you come to my house? Because my son can't go to the mosque anymore. Can you come to the house? How long are you going to come for? Right, okay. So it's another way. Are we abdicating too much? And the final abdication is, let's send them to a private school instead. Let's pay £10,000 a year so I don't have to do anything. And when the son comes home, thick, even though he's been to a private school, let's get him tuition rather than the responsibility. So we have to be very clear. Parental responsibility is what? Let's ask it from an Islamic point of view. Mufti Atiq, parental responsibility, how important is it? Or am I just banging on something because it's a business acumen?
It's fard, it's compulsory. The hadith Prophet said, "Ala kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyati." Every single one of you is a shepherd. All of you will be asked regarding your flock. The father, the parents are shepherds for the children. Okay, so that's how important it is. They will be asked regarding the children. Some hadith mention a person being dragged into the fire of hell because of his child, because he didn't teach his child, didn't teach him what was right, didn't teach him the right from wrong, and show him the right way. Of course, it's
And also, I think that at this age, when you've got young children, what do they want? They don't really want toys and sweets and whatever. They want your time. If you can give them time, because what will happen is when you want to give them time, at that time, they won't be interested. They'll be teenagers. They'll be 17, 18. They'll say, "Sorry, Dad, I don't want to be seen with you in public." They'll feel a bit embarrassed. So now when we can mold them, now we can give them that tarbiyah. This is the time. So when I sit with my kids, I say to listen, any questions you have, I don't care what it is, ask me a question. And they'll ask me some question. I'm thinking, how do you know that? Who told you that? But still, we sit down and we discuss it. Because if we don't discuss it as parents, they're going to go to Mate, they're going to go and check Google, and it'll come out with something else. And I said, if I don't know the answer Islamically, I've got access to some scholars and I will ask them that question. Because having that discussion in the house, I think, is quite important. Brother Zahid, have you got any more text messages? I think
I've got a couple of text messages, but I want to just explain something. I was with a good friend of mine who's in his mid 60s, and the conversation, he picked up the phone and goes, "Oh, assalamu alaikum, how you doing?" And he was talking. I'm gonna say it in English, but he was talking in pure Urdu, and he said, "How are you doing?" Yeah. So what time are we going out? Right. Okay. Make sure you wear this. Yeah, I'm gonna be wearing that, and we'll go somewhere. Then we can come home, and then we can come out, see a couple of the other guys and everything. And it was just a nice, lovely bit of banter, like you would do with your friends. Where are you going on Friday? We're going to go for something to eat. Should we watch the game, or should we come to your house? It was just a lovely bit of banter. I said, that's nice. Who's that? He goes, it's my dad. This person was talking to his dad. He was that close to his dad. His dad was 88 years old. And you would have thought it's somebody's 20. That relationship, he said, doesn't matter what happens. The first person I go to is my dad. And that is somebody who can grow up. So this whole notion that we consider a burden, any child, I consider my son the biggest gift in life. I spend every time, every moment with him. And people say you go over the top. But what you got to remember also is you've got to discipline them as well. You can't just cover them from a text message. We talked about abdication. There are genuine reasons why people ask for help. And we've got one here. It says, yep, this is somebody whose son read at the age of 6, started to, and Shaykh Haroon gave them some good point. Yep, you did, and yes, he was listening. I'm currently looking for someone who teaches Tawheed at home, as my son, I think he's meant to say Tajweed, struggles being within a large group or a loud environment. If you know anyone, please can you let me know in the Oldham area. So that's a genuine somebody wants to know, can you help with regards to Islamic home tuition in the Oldham area, Brother Sajid? I've got a number here, so if anyone has anyone that who could come to the house, help this guy, because the boy's probably somebody who doesn't react well in a big environment. He may have confidence issues, or he may have anxiety, who knows, it could be anything. So if you've got anybody suggestion on that, if you can let me know afterwards, Brother Sajid or Mufti Atiq, I can pass it on to this person.
Jazakallah. Thank you. Okay, I think what we're going to do, but if you haven't got any more text messages, I want to try to summarize the show. Have you got any more text that we can go to?
There two other text messages were number one, brother, and this is Brother Shabir and the crew, and this text message it says Brother Zaid and the Let's Talk team. First text message, we've been listening to your show on YouTube, and we send it from our phone to our TV, and there's 22 of us who listen to the show, and we work offshore. And the question that we have is, what would happen? We have lost people during this awful coronavirus, and the janazah has now been complete. What do we do? Because we feel guilty that we could not attend the janazah. We would be immensely grateful to the Mufti if he could ease the worry of our hearts.
Okay, so they've got a couple of options, to be honest with you. They can still pray. Obviously, they can make dua for the person who's passed away. They can pray janazah in absentia if they want to. So they can get together, and as a group, they can pray the janazah. Obviously, after the lockdown's over, maybe, or maintaining social distancing, or whatever it is, you can still pray janazah salah. For a person? It's called a ghaiban janazah. They can do that anyway. They can do that, inshallah. And they can still pray for the person. They can give sadaqah on his behalf. They can donate to charities. We've obviously said UKF, Al-Adab bin Oldham, just to name a few. They can do all that for the person, but they can pray the janazah salah as well. That's not a problem.
Okay, thanks very much for that. And that's it. We've got no more text messages. I'll just check the WhatsApp one. No, nothing in there. Nothing in there.
So let me go to Mufti Sahib. Then in terms of, it's our last show today as well, inshallah, and every day almost we've been kind of raising a lot of issues. So just, from your point of view as well, what kind of message would you want to leave our viewers in terms of, the message from Ramadan, Eid, and the life after Eid, inshallah?
Okay, so first and foremost, I think Shaykh Haroon mentioned as well, we shouldn't be worshipping because it's Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is around, for the rest of the year as well. It shouldn't be that we just worship for these 29 or 30 days and then we stop, and then after 11 months we do it again. That's there's no progression there. It's just the same routine year in, year out. We need to be looking at maintaining and continuing what we're doing in Ramadan and maintaining it after Ramadan. Those good habits that we've managed to, alhamdulillah, we managed to keep, we should continue with them. Those bad habits that we've managed to kick, we should, inshallah, obviously after Ramadan as well, continue to stay away from those bad habits. And continuing, a lot of people, reciting more Quran in Ramadan, praying more in Ramadan, giving more in charity in Ramadan. So all of these things should continue. We shouldn't be just limiting it to these 30 days, and that's more or less what I'd like to say.
Jazakallah. And Brother Naseem?
Absolutely. What can I say? Alhamdulillah, that's absolutely it. Ramadan, we should utilize as a a month of training. Alhamdulillah, we've done what we need to do. There's a lot of things that we've changed about ourselves. Let's maintain that, keep it. No time for maghfirah. The doors of maghfirah never close. Any time that somebody wants to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's up to that person. Don't be so hopeless that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not accept my my forgiveness and my repentance. Sincere repentance, sincere forgiveness, turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned in the Quran over and over again, that Allah loves the person who returns back to him. So let's try and do that, inshallah.
Yeah, we've just got one last text message. Assalamu alaikum. As previously mentioned, I'm raising funds for Olive Mount. Alhamdulillah, in my page has hit over £500. May Allah reward and bless you and your family and friends for the donating to this great cause. Please share with your friends and family. And also, so that's Olive Mount fundraiser for Brother Haroon Rasool. So if you can spare a minute and you can contribute there, still time to make a small donation. Every penny will count. This Ramadan has been extraordinary. Brother Sajid, have you any final words?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is that when it comes to, like you said, it has been extraordinary. So let's kind of, continue some of the good things. Look, we're in a lockdown. We had an opportunity to read the namaz at home with our family, with Jamaat. I've never even done that before a lot because, we go to the masjid. No, so this is an opportunity we can carry that on after Ramadan. Eating together, praying together, spending time with the family, having that communication with your wife, with your parents, with your children, speaking to family members through Zoom, continue that. Personal development. If you started to read some of the Quran in English, I've started doing that, for quite a few years. Keep on doing it after Ramadan, even if it's 2 or 3 lines a day. This is how we're going to reconnect with the Quran, because we want to make sure that we want to achieve that taqwa. It's not just for Ramadan. Make sure after Ramadan, when you're on Netflix, watch what you should be watching in terms of your language, in terms of your behavior. And when we have the show, every scholar on the show says, listen, if you want to understand it, you've got to study it. So take that time out. We always say we haven't got time. We've got time. Now we've got more time than any other time just to study and learn. And if you want to really study it, find a scholar, find someone that you find an institution that you want to learn from. And then it's about making sure that what am I doing? What positive contribution am I doing to my community? Whether it's my neighbor, whether it's the poor, whether it's the homeless, whether it's my masjid, whether it's on my street, what am I contributing? When I die, what good deeds have I got left that I can show on the day of judgment? This is what I've been doing. And inshallah, we hope that this work that we'll be doing on the Let's Talk show is in some way will help us in the hereafter as well. Our intention is, inshallah, to raise the issue, to have the rightly guided scholars on our show. We're doing it for many years, only because we think that it's an opportunity for us to ask the hard questions or the real question and discuss the real issues with the scholars, inshallah. But as
Jazakallah. This Ramadan will go down for many people in memory as a difficult Ramadan and a unique Ramadan. And there's many families that have lost members of their family who are irreplaceable, particularly the very elderly, who bring a degree of modesty and respect to your household, and they command and they ensure that our language is always okay, our manners are always okay, and they've gone, and we will miss those people. What we try to do on Let's Talk is we try and bring you a topic. We try and get a hold of a scholar that we think can speak English really well, can explain all these things. And during that time, we've had new scholars. Sheikh Abid Salek, we had scholars that we use all the time. Sheikh Wasim, Sheikh Salim Giza. We had Sheikh Bilal Brown. Then we had Shaykh Haroon Hanif, who's, laughing and joking apart, he really, contributed a lot, like all the other sheikhs that came on. And now we had Mufti Atiqur Rehman. I just say that for these scholars, this is a gift, because these are forward-thinking scholars. All of these people can take a joke, and more importantly, have got wisdom and knowledge. People ask us, is it difficult? to find knowledge. Look, you've got Mufti Atiqur here. These people have got knowledge. They're not going to misguide you. They're not going to start giving you fatwas of who not to go read. They're going to say, are you reading your own salah first? So never get yourself involved in the rudimentrics of being a master of fiqh. Or as we say, don't be thick on the fiqh. Just get on with it. Don't use an excuse. A few years back, somebody spent 45 minutes arguing about which Jamaat I follow, which this. And I said, look, you spent 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, we're going to miss Asr. Yeah, but you've not answered my question. I said, and that's the point. The fard are the fard. There's nothing to do with anything else. Everybody this year has an opportunity. And remember, COVID-19, nothing happens without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what we can't see today, we'll see tomorrow. Already we're finding that the worst countries in the world where people and babies were dying as a result of the smog levels, the amount of pollution in the air, they're now to a point where they could never have done this. They could never have got that clean for 10 years. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows better. And those people who doubt and say, oh, you know, this COVID-19, when's it going to, it'll only go away when it's Allah Pak's hukam. But when we've decided ourselves what we've done in our house, the blessed month, we read Jamaat in our house. And one great scholar said to me, brother, he said to me, Zaid, how do you know if you've done a successful Ramadan? You'll know if you carry this on. If one day after Eid, you go back to your own thing, you've not really done successful, have you? You've just gone with the flow. And like, you know, Mufti Atiqur Rehman has expertly said, Ramadan and the Fard Namaz are not just for 30 days, they're for 365 days, or until you can't read anymore. These are important times. I think that, from my point of view, I, you know, sadly lost my Mamu, Haji Abdul Latif, who had a big madrasa for poor people. My puppy Askari, who again had the madrasa for poor people. And the head of our family at 93 years old, my mum's elder sister, Auntie Shakuran, 93 years old. And that's UK, she could have been even older than that. So everybody is, you know, I would ask that we do dua for these people. They died during Ramadan, and the glory is that if a person, everyone's going to die, and we always say prepare for that death. But the Ramzan month is a sacred month, and everyone's dua should be focused on it. You know, this show's never been about offending people. This show's never been about our opinion's right, everybody else is wrong. We've got people from different schools of thought here, but you will never know it. You'll never know Brother Sadi believes this, or Brother Nassim believes that, or I don't believe any of it. You will never see that. The laughing and joking, some people say it shouldn't be as part of our show. But that show and the way that we do our laugh and joke is because it's late at night. You know, people need a little bit of humour. And our scholars, who we say, the other day, somebody stopped me and said, you know, the way you insult Shaykh Haroon is disgraceful. I said, look at the text message. And he went quiet. I said, we're not insulting anybody. It's called banter. And I've never been rude or swore at anybody or anything like that. It's friendly banter, and it keeps things going.
Yeah, and also with the Zaid as well is that what we try to do is that, like you said earlier, get scholars from different school of thought, different masala, because you know what, we realize that there are differences among the scholars, you know, from the different masjids. But the important thing is, unity is not about we all believe in the same thing. It's about respecting that there is a difference, but coming together and working on the common goal. You know, fighting against the drug abuse, the alcohol abuse, you know, the Islamophobia, the sectarianism, etc. And you can have differences. You know, we've got here Mufti Atiqur, we've got people from, you know, Wernert Jamia Mosque, we have people from, Greengate Mosque, we have people from Waterloo Street, from, you know, we have every masjid, because the main thing is, this is a platform, because usually when you go to a masjid, unfortunately, it's usually the people from the same school of thought or same masjid or same madhab. The idea is this is a platform where anyone and everyone, you know, who is right-minded, who is not sectarian, you know, who respects others, can come together, work together, you know. And the idea is that this is what we have to understand. What are the challenges that we are facing today? And then use the scholars to help us. Whatever you like, you take it. Whatever you disagree with, you don't make it into an issue. You don't make an issue. You put it to one side, and then work on the things that you unite on, and then look at the challenges, and let's work together to fight those challenges. Okay, not dividing ourselves. Inshallah.
And just a couple of corrections. Number one is Brother Naseem is not the director of UKEF. He's actually the founder of UKEF. So I just wanted to get that one right, yeah. And StreamYard was discovered by Brother Sajid and not Brother Naseem, who took all the glory of it. It was actually Brother Sajid who found StreamYard. And inshallah, if there's demand and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it, we'll try and do a show every couple of weeks, and we'll be able to maybe request a little time from Mufti Atiqur and all the other scholars that we feel can help. And I'm sure.
And before we finish as well, if I can get Mufti Atiqur to do a short dua as well at the end, if that's all right.
Yeah, Mufti Atiqur, if you could do as a short dua as we close the.
It's our final show, inshallah. So, if that's okay with yourself.
No, if the brother Naseem does it, inshallah, that'd be good. He's been very quiet throughout the show.
No.
Very much. So
I think it'd be better for Mufti Saab to do this one, inshallah ta'ala. I did it at the last show, so inshallah.
It's just بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم في العالمين انك حميد مجيد. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا ان نسينا واخطانا، ربنا ولا تحمل علينا كما حملت والذين من قبلنا، ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به، واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا انت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم انا نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والسلامة من كل اثم والغنيمة من كل بر والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دين إلا قضيته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Jazakallah, thanks very much. And as always, my request to everybody is to do dua. I always ask at the end of every Ramadan to do dua for my mum, who gave me life, put me on the straight and narrow, and was the first university and educator of my life. Also, I'd like to ask for dua for my son, Jibril Ibrahim Makbul, who's sat in Itikaf at the age of 11. This is the second year he's done it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep him on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So, brothers, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala privileges us, and if we dare to call ourselves Muslim, we'll try and keep the show going. But inshallah, do dua for everybody. See the kindness in everybody. Don't be divisive. Be united. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.